Hey, well, first of all, I'd like to say, and the ASB are gonna find me, because I want to be a part of this fucking dumb wannabe tennis tour.
You know, I think they got his testicles so far up their mouths that this is bullshit, you know?
I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm just thinking about having won the world title and hopefully trying to win another one someday. You just drop in and just smack the quarterback. Drop down, snap, Well, I'll tell you, Stu, I did battle some humongous waves.
Oh, just the paper thing?
Oh, surf looks good, Alvin.
Not bad.
Ain't that swell with Jed and Vaughn.
Oh, those guys are back! Get a haircut.
Yes, shredheads, waxheads, kooks and barneys. Welcome to Ain't That Swell, the radio show and now TV show, Vaughn. Woo! Dedicated to cutting fucking sick. I'm your host, the two-time Gold Cone Piece Award-winning surf journalist, Scum Valley's finest himself, the punch-drunk pikey, the sultan of psilocybin, the maestro of micro-dosing, Smithy. I'm joined here, as always, by my loyal co-host and friend, frontman of the Goons of Doom, former editor of Surfing World Magazine, Tracks Magazine, Waves Magazine, Vaughn Corn Deadly. Welcome to the program, Vaughn.
Thank you, Smithy. Great to be here. Great to be in the ATS. What is this joint?
A bunker?
Bunker? Okay, yep. I think with
a utopia,
the way the world's going, the bunker's probably a good call, and good to have some special guests in here with us today, Smithy.
It's my absolute pleasure and privilege to welcome to the program Wade Goodall.
Thanks, Smithy. Stoked to be here. Listened to the show heaps at the start and then lost interest.
You and me both, mate.
Yet here we are.
Just got busy, I guess.
I found it really hard to listen to podcasts during COVID for some reason. I used to just listen to heaps of them, and it's tricky. It's tricky now that I've got so much TV to watch. That's why we're on here, right?
That's right. Tune in, drop in, punch one, and tap out. And of course, Surfcore2001, the North Coast's finest specimen. Welcome to Ain't That Swell, the inaugural television episode, Surfcore.
1,000 is not enough. 2,000 is not enough. Surfcore.
2001.
Yeah, cheers, boys. Glad to pop the YouTube cherry with you. It's mental. It's a really good studio we've got set up here, too.
I'm loving that textured Joel Parkinson DHD 80YZ logoed
Yeah, how
rim
fucking...
job you've got on.
Yeah, it's pretty red hot. DHD went all out on the merch when Parker was red hot in his junior years. So, yeah, stoked on it.
What did that cost you on eBay? I imagine a few grand at least.
Nah, I think it was one of the treasures that we pulled out of Parker. Oh, no, Stace Galbraith got it for me. Apparently DH, before the factory unfortunately burnt down, had like a full crypt of just like core artifacts from his days. And he had just like box on box on box of Y2K era visors. I'm fucking hyped on it. I've got a black one too. So this one's my day one. That's my formal attire.
Did you ever as a hardcore fan of that era buy the little shark tooth necklaces out of the back of Tracks magazine in the classifieds?
I fully did. This is a
That's one of
Bico
them, isn't
one here. Yeah. This one's been around for ages, but I fully had a shark tooth one. But then I got scared that like a shark had like smelled.
Bad
like
juju.
I like watched a doco once, and it was like about how good sharks' sense of smell is, and if they could smell like a dead shark or something, like the little shark tooth, and be like, oh, that's my mate. That's my mate's tooth. Like, what are
Wayne
you doing
Rabbit
with that?
Bartholomew actually told me once that he'd never eaten shark in his life, never eaten flake. I was like, I thought that was pretty much the menu in the Gold Coast, just fish and chips.
I can't believe he can
3 meals a
avoid it
day?
and cool.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Serve. Yeah.
But yeah, he reckons just no good. No good. Don't eat shark and they won't eat you. That was his theory.
Really? Yeah. Wow, that's some deep karmic advice there.
He's a pretty karmic dude, Rabs. Remember in the days before the really intense surf forecasting, Rabbit used to be the contest director at all of the Aussie Junior events.
Wow, so he's the only man trusted.
They used
the
to
only
say
oracle
they'd run
trusted.
photos of him in tracks like on a phone, which back then there was no real mobile phone. So he had one of those big brick ones, and there'd always be a caption that said "Rabbit on the phone to Huey," and that sort of kept rolling as he started taking over contest directing of like the Kira Pro when it was at Kira. And then he scored just year
the
after
Billabong
year.
Super Challenge on the South Coast. No one scored the South Coast that good since.
That was the fucking. There's like an old like quarter page ad in Tracks where there was like a 1-300 like bugs or something, and you'd call it and you get the Goldie Surf Report, and it'd be like you'd call it and it would go to a message bank, and it would be like that week's surf report and it'd be Bugs narrating it. Like, it's so iconic. Yeah, I saw an ad for it the other day.
Do you reckon all the spare change from those ads went straight into the Bricky's laptops, did he?
I don't think they had laptops in those days, but
they covered the
you'd think so.
refurbishing at like 20s that they're doing.
Just pulling the lever though.
Yeah, that's right. Twin Towns was just one spiraling cathedral to poker machines before Rabs' message bank kicked off. But wild. Imagine how many secret spots and just the guy has so much knowledge.
We've got to get him on one day. I think he's actually been doing a podcast with Tim Baker. I'm pretty sure they're doing something called Rabbit Tales. And I know Goodsy's, he's obviously right up on the podcast if he's stopped listening to us. So you haven't heard it, mate?
No, not Rabbit.
Give it a whirl.
Who's Tim
Give it a
Baker?
whirl.
Is that the guy from...
He is...
He's a writer.
Oh, yeah.
World famous surf writer / magazine editor. He edited Tracks. He edited Surfing Life. And he famously had a run-in with Smithy in Jeffreys Bay once.
What happened?
But they've made up and everything's good now, right?
Oh, he wanted to go until I put it on him. But
what's that Baker guy on the news? The peroxided hair one?
Corey,
Simon Baker.
Nah, he's the mentalist.
Are you thinking Pete Evans?
Yeah, nah. He's torched.
He was out at Cabba the other day on like a fucking like Tomo fucking Slater designs looking like a full reptile.
Full reptile, good recipes, apparently.
Yeah. Well, Wade, thanks for coming, mate. But it's all about your film, really. Pentecostal. What's the feedback
Congrats, mate.
been like?
Thank
It's
you
an
so
absolute
much.
Epic.
Stinker.
It's been really good. If you've ever created anything, you know how close you get and how much you look over it, and you get desensitized by release time. I had no idea whether it wasn't the most boring thing I've ever seen. You know, I was totally scorched on it. But since its release, the feedback has been insanely positive, and I listened to people whose opinion I actually listened to, and they've all been good. So it's checked out. So I feel like really, really accomplished now to direct my first film of that magnitude and get it out and actually pull that off, because it was a big learning curve. It was a big, just sort of a go for it for myself.
Because you're coordinating, the van's stable of talent. I don't know what that entails, the logistics of getting people to certain waves and spots on time. I mean, that must be incredibly difficult.
Logistically, it's crazy. And just, I hate asking people to do stuff as well. That probably stems from hate being told to do stuff. So it was really hard to I'm not the best at forecasting either, which is a huge thing. And you're calling up like Nathan Fletcher or Dane Reynolds or anyone to come to like the other side of the earth, and then the waves are shit, which happened a bunch of times. It's just it's hard. That gets rough. But
Gotta call Rabbit.
yeah, I should have called up Rabbit.
Is that message bank still
Get
active,
off,
that
print
1-300
charts.
number?
Charts up though.
Gotta give it a call.
Yeah, channel9isobar.com.
I felt the second it came on the screen, you knew you were in for something special. You know, the animations, the drawings, it had a great atmosphere and a good feel right from the get-go. And I think that, that's a bit of a hallmark of everything that you've lent your name to or your creativity to over the years. So did you have an end goal in mind in terms of, how you wanted this thing to look? I know that the concept is really cool, the pentagram on the map. But did you have a full vision in your head of how you wanted this thing to turn out?
Yep, 100%.
Good on you, man. Fuck, that's good to hear, eh?
Yeah, it was all on paper before I even asked anyone to be involved, and that's why I had so much passion. I just like when you're creative in many different ways. When those ideas come, you just got to act on them, especially ones you fall in love with. So that was one that I just had to follow through with, and been involved with making movies before, but not as the director, not as coordinating, not as sort of it was my dream come to reality. So yeah, I had once I started the idea, it kind of just came from me wanting to stay in Oz for the winter, sick of Indo, can't handle the crowds anymore.
Valium.
Yeah.
Pseudo. Mushroom.
I'm done.
Cocaine. You want? Jiggy. What could you get sick of about that word?
You tell me.
Gilan.
Everyone's different, but fuck, I was over it.
Careful what you wish for, mate, because you might be going back there for could be 15 years.
Yeah,
the way
that's what I'm
things are
trying to
going.
say. I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to stay in Oz, and then I was looking at the shape of Australia, where I want to go, listening to a Nick Cave song, Brompton Obituary one day. He says the word Pentecostal, and it sort of just dawned on me in my head. I said Pentecostal, and then I just raced home, got the map of Australasia out, drew an upside down pentagram on it, and I was like, that's exactly where I want to go for the next winter.
Wow.
And that's where the art direction for the poster came.
Was the poster superimposed over a Ouija board while you were doing this?
Nah. See, like it's funny. It's like it seems so dark, and it's like people relate the pentagram straight away to the devil. And
Did you have many conversations with the Dark Lord over the course of the 3 years of the filming? Was he coming to you in visions? Did you see him in certain
Surely during
barrels?
some of those skunkings he was hovering above your head.
Nah. Since COVID, he's been locked down there. He can't come up. So I'll talk to him after all this shit.
Coughing his lungs out.
But it in no way is it satanic or occultish at all. The pentagram I used was an elemental one, coming from the pagan pentagram. So that's what. Yeah, I'm not the Antichrist.
No, you're just some kind of pagan.
Yeah,
You're just a very naughty boy.
But tell us about some of these, like some of the trips. I know there was a mad dash to score P-Pass. Start with that one.
Yeah, so every trip for the first 8 months was really shit. And we got to the end stage of the budget and time frame, and it was really rubbish. We had I had maybe 3 waves of Dane from an Indo trip that was at the level that I wanted for the film.
Well, when you're drawing upside down crucifixes on the map of Australia way, you're tempting fate.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'm so separated from that. I just like the art aesthetic. That's it. I don't look past it. I don't remember anything in my life. I remember aesthetics, so that's where that.
What's the headspace and the convos like with sponsors within the team when you've done? How many months did you spend on phase 1? Do you think?
It was about 9 months of filming.
You've got 3 waves in the bag, and
pretty
you're just
much at the level where I wanted it, and then I asked for an extension, and they were all good. They've been super supportive the whole time. They believed in me, but they were also like, kick up the ass. What's that? Apocalypse Now. Yeah, I remember Scott saying to me, "Oh, we don't want another Apocalypse Now, do we, mate?" And I was like, "Shit." That resonated. I was like, I'm not failing this extension.
Who would have been your Marlon Brando? I assume a morbidly obese Dane Reynolds showing up in somewhere in the distant reaches of Sumatra.
He kind of has the
hooked on Valiums. Can't surf, no boards, no fins.
Late career Elvis situation. Yeah, but once P-Pass popped up, we were in Port Macquarie.
The other P-Pass.
Kettling around, yeah. And that Swell came up, and we just me and Shayna just went for it, and we were just like, this is make or break. And it was psychotic. We booked the flights, drove straight from port to the airport overnight in Brizzy, and flew there. And if anyone's been there, they know the trek that it is. even though we're rocking up late, it might have been windy.
What kind of a trek is it? How many flights? How many boats? How many tuk-tuks?
It can go from it can be 2 and it can be 4. So it usually takes about 2 days, a stopover, a multi-island sort of hop. But it is one of the most draining legs you can do, but it's expensive. So it's like it's a roll of the dice for sure. But I've had a good track record, and I know people that know that wave really well, so I'm always in there here.
Bugs,
pretty quick.
I assume.
Scardy, Alois from PPAS. I've got trusting people to help me out with choices. But so that trip saved the whole movie. Once me and Shano went there, we come home and like, yeah, we're on. Like we could save this thing.
And so like, just break it down though. Like you literally got there with like the swell had already hit, and you had, what was it, like an afternoon to get clips and the next morning or something like that. Like you travelled for fucking 4 days or 2 days or whatever it was. And talk to us about that.
The pass depends on the swell, but you're usually in for 3 days at least in a swell. The ones I've gone on anyway. So we rocked up the morning of what was meant to be the biggest, and I remember getting like off the plane, and my friend Mitch, who has a camp there from Hawaii, he's like, it's the best day we've seen in ages, mate. And I was like just yelling at the baggage handlers to hurry up. We got out the front. There was a bunch of Japanese guys with us staying at the camp, and I picked up their board bags and threw them in the van before it had even stopped. And they were freaking out on me. I was like, we gotta fucking go right now. And we got out there at like lightning speed.
Did he mow?
Yeah. And because I thought that was the day, and as soon as we could get there, we knew we were going to miss that morning. But that day turned out amazing, and then the next day turned out amazing, and then the next little bump ended up being bigger. So it was just like 3 days of like good size P-pass and really, really uncrowded. Like I surfed a good chunk of that by myself for 3 days because of the backdoor shootout being on. No one came from Hawaii.
So scary, man.
No one
that
came
doesn't
from
look that
Oz.
fun to me. It looks too hectic. I don't know. What about you, Smithy? I don't know if I could sack up by myself in surf like that.
Yeah, the line of water, the shoulder on it must look fucking harrowing as you're paddling into it. I know on the smaller days it's fucking cylindrical and perfect, but my good mate Dane Bernheim, Squiddy, Jeremy Flores' film, he nearly died out there, and he fucking rips like just too deep in the pit. Hit his scone on the bottom, and they found him fucking face down. He's lucky to be alive.
Hell.
But what's it like being out there on your Pat Malone and staring at just fucking stacked lines of absolute Pacific Roy?
Fuck, it's a dream come true. It's like I was saying earlier with Indo and stuff. I was like, I'm rubbish in crowds, and I've been getting more of a disdain for it. So that was like, I don't know. It was like every trip that was fucked coming back and giving in. But just sitting out there by yourself is really hard because it is semi-open ocean. It is a pass, but it's also very deep water out the back. Not much of a landmark to go off. You just have one buoy that's kind of like off your side out. So I swear I looked at that buoy. I was going to go and draw a face on it after it because it was like that was who I hung with that.
Well done! Well done!
How'd you finally?
Yeah.
Wilson the buoy calling you into him.
Yeah,
this one.
that round little redhead over there just helped me have my lineup for days. But it was just that was a trip of my life, I think, for sure. And that wave is scary at times, but it's perfect. Like you once you're out there and you feel the speed it generates for you, you can make shit. And it's like an Indo perfect wave on many waves, but it's also like an Indo wave into a slab, which is what I love. Like that's the best.
Can you you must have copped a couple of bone rattlers out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you take us through sort of a wipeout where you were caught off guard? Because just the other day, Smithy, I was surfing Lennox and a guy kind of crumbled a section. I went to go around it and just got caught in that weird right on that little bump zone where the lip kind of hits the rail of your board, and it just fucking detonated me so badly, like out of nowhere. And I was underwater laughing, just going, fuck, that hasn't happened for ages. And then I didn't feel any pull on my leggy. I was like, oh, no. Fuck. And, yeah, sure enough, I come up and there's me board just getting ragdolled along the rocks.
Yeah.
The one that Connor O'Leary just gave me, by the way. So
That was our board, Vaughn.
Our board. But actually, you should have a go on it now that none of the fins are in it. But no, can you take us through one out there? Because, like, you know,
I'm sure you're cracking up at the bottom of a 10-foot.
10-foot by yourself, knowing that, you know, there's you got to be rolling around down there for a bit.
Yeah, you just get kind of rolled there. If you don't, the gnarly bit is if you fall on that end bowl. That's where it drains. It goes really, really below sea level, and that's where you're going to hit if you go down. But I got away with heaps of shit on that trip. You just kind of get rolled, do a lap of the lagoon, and come back out. I mean, when I'm not on trips, I'm like at home doing the cleaning and school run and shit, and I need to get worked out P-Pass. I really need it. I want some adrenaline so bad.
Just to feel something.
I need, yeah.
Better than cutting yourself.
Yeah. That like perfectly triangular Vegemite sandwich ain't cutting it anymore.
But you
Is
realise
that no crust, Dad?
Yeah, Louis no crust.
Kids get to school, open their lunchbox, and there's just pentagrams everywhere.
Vegemite pentagrams.
And you realise you literally are the Colonel Kurtz of surfing, disdain for crowds, just travelling as far and distant to some strange pass so you can surf on your own, 10-foot cones.
Yeah, it's a worthy mission.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I didn't mean to drop in there, but I just wanted to ask. We mentioned Shane Fletcher before, who we should give props to because incredible job. He's a master at what he does. But when Aussie and Cowboy were filming 156 tricks for a year and spending a lot of time in each other's pockets, for a couple of funny things went down. I think Aussie had one of the best sessions of his life on this French shorey. It was sort of perfect surf for him, doing big airs when not many people had really been stomping them and linking them together, and he had a crowd just sort of gathering, and pretty soon they were just cheering, like
baguettes up in the air, people waving scarves,
just going absolutely crazy for him. And he turns around and goes, "Where's Cowboy?" And Cowboy had actually met some chick who'd gone down to Spain for the day. He'd
split and searched a bit of the old in-out.
And I was walking around going, hang on, that was like the best surf I've ever had. I was getting cheered on every wave, and no filmer. And I know on another trip they did, I think they ended up coming to blows at an airport, just grabbing each other around the neck and just fully punching on.
But they do it to you, Vaughn. They do it to you, the airports.
They do. Yeah, they do. But I'm just, the relationship between the filmer and the surfer, when it's a partnership, when you're both fully invested in a project and you both want it to be, as good as the other. Did you find any moments where the feathers started to ruffle?
Yeah, for sure. And it was just through being tired and just, we both try so hard with whatever we're doing. He is like an absolute perfectionist to the point where it's crazy when it comes to editing and filming. So there was heaps of shit, but it was just being tired and trying too hard. And
did you bash him? That's what I want to know.
Hey, Fletcher's a big rig.
Yeah,
he looks like he could have played
yeah.
second row for the Burleigh Bears.
Did he fold you up
mid-80s?
and put you in his backpack and just go, I've had enough?
No, you know what? It was a real good collaboration.
Great.
I want to say that because it was everything I lacked, he kind of had, asking people about financial stuff or just organizing shit that I'm not the best at, and then other times I would help him at stuff he needed to. But so I think our minds
shaving his back and stuff like that.
Yeah, like that.
Bleaching his corn.
Yeah, I didn't shave it. I just used Nair. It just wipes.
Undoing his balloon knot.
Yeah, but no, I think we complemented each other really good. I think the editing and the deadline was crazy, and we just butted heads on a few things, but that's just the creative.
It's a masterpiece, mate.
It is.
But he was so always so respectful that it was my vision
On your Shana.
and it was my art direction, and he would bring points to me that were very valid, and I would take them, but there would be also
Points like
stuff that he would just say, okay, this is what you want. This is what you want.
So I'm
and like that felt so good for me.
I'm assuming it came from Shane, you know, like, Wade, I don't want to bring this up, mate, but it's 8 months in the filming. We've got 3 clips.
Don't worry. I was like the biggest case study. You could have followed me around and maybe documented some self-combustion. There was like 3 moments where I thought I was going to disintegrate into particles during the making, but yeah, he didn't need to tell me shit. I knew what was wrong at all times.
Now, I've got to nut this out too. Tell me about the Pohnpei, the P-Pass McValue meal. I understand at the convenience stores there, they the McValue meal, the Pohnpei McValue meal. It's a joint, a coconut water, and a lobster burger or something like that. They're selling joints at the convenience stores over there.
I haven't tapped into the meal, but because if you've ever had a joint and a coconut, you don't really need anything else. But yeah, the joint situation is really good over there. That's another one of the reasons I love that place. You can get joints delivered to you wherever you are.
What?
Pre-rolled is $1, a fat one's $2, and I think you can get a stick for $20.
Okay, it's competitive.
Yeah, it's really nice. So you just kind of have, and there's also a drive-through. There's a house that you.
I thought so.
Yeah, that's maybe what you're thinking.
Yeah.
There's this house that your taxi guy goes down a driveway, a little carport, and an actual window that opens, and you buy pre-rolled
That's great.
joints and you go.
There are entrepreneurs, Vaughn. They're in P-Pass. Did you actually have a look at the factory? I know, like, you go to, you know, parts of Germany, you can go on the brewery tours. And did you go to the P-Pass joint rolling factory?
No, like the Macca's freezer.
Yeah, exactly.
No. I was kind of sketched because, like, I don't know, I don't really want to get caught doing the wrong thing there. So definitely wasn't hanging too hard. There's some sketchy places there, mate. You're in the middle of the Micronesia. That place is really special. It has a very piratey feel. It is dank and it is beautiful, and I don't know. It's just everything. It is a very like a Caribbean vibe, but a bit darker, deeper water. You know,
and it's kind of a recent discovery as far as the mainstream surfing consciousness goes. I guess it come on the map with, like, the first footage I saw was Dan Ross getting fucking giant 10-foot cones back in the day, and then Dorian in the campaign, like, maxed out P-Pass. And I just remember my fucking eyes falling out of my skull when I first saw Rossi just stand. I was like, what is this? It looks like fucking, I don't know, a mix of reversed chopes and, like, backdoor rolled into one.
I remember that trip. That was with Grambo, right?
Yeah.
Really big and blue, like
big
crazy
kind of chip
looking.
shot, rolled, like, bit of
Yeah.
shippies in it too. It was fucking wild.
It was a
giant.
monster though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alois just put that up on the Pohnpei Surf Club Instagram. A couple of those clips is Dorian, Matthews, Rossi. I'm not sure who else is there, but it's such an iconic wave. It is my favorite wave in the world for sure. It's I haven't surfed a right that good anyway. It's crazy, but it's fickle too. It's like it's hard to get. Start of the year is usually the time, and there might be one, if you're lucky, 2 of those memorable ones a year, you know? And sometimes it doesn't happen for a year. So although it is
And
the caliber of wave it is, it's like it's hard to get to.
The Hawaiian boys are onto it. Like, do you see those guys up there a fair bit?
Yeah, and it's like actually it's a special place in that way too, because I've been there on 3 other trips with a bunch of my friends from Hawaii also. And I've never been there, and it's been a hassly environment. Every time I've ever been there, it's been sit in line and it's your turn. I've never had any, I've never seen any bad stuff go down the line up there, and that's rare. I don't know if it's like that on a crowded next swell. Might be a bit hectic.
Man, it's a long way to go to get skunked too. Could you imagine, Vaughn? I mean, we've all been skunked, but just multiply it by $10,000.
Trying to think of the furthest I've ever travelled to get skunked. It's probably not too far, Smithy. Maybe just from the front door to North Wall. I don't do a whole lot of travelling to get skunked, mate. But you can't help it sometimes. But I don't know. I can't think. I think 7 Slaves, we didn't get like the greatest surf, but a couple of days at Lance's Left and stuff like that made it worthwhile.
7 days, 7 slaves.
Yeah. That was like, we were hoping to get.
Good Waves. That was like the best movie ever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
iconic like kettleish waves for Aussie.
it was the 2-foot surf that kind of like broke it open for Aussie, and TB was lighting it up too. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if you're a lesser surfer, you can get somewhere, and if it's waist high and not too many people, you can have fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pohnpei, I don't know. Don't know if I'm ready for it. 6 foot.
Perfect.
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah. You'd love it anyway. You're going so fast, you can get through it.
Finger buns just sitting in a row. They're sweet and sticky and absolutely delicious. Finger buns, get your face into finger buns.
Number 5.
Brought to you by Surfcore2001. Goodsy brah. This is your life.
Oh, yeah. Surfcore.
The 2006 Junior Series. I can't explain. I'm dizzy, said a patently introverted Wade to the reporters on the beach at Jan Juk. A tightly contested season coming into the last event, the Moffat Beach Ambassador, was the outside chance against favourites Julian Wilson and Owen Wright. Goodsy got to work on his competitors with his unmatchable small wave progression and kettleish punts, rinsing the Y2K junior icons Laurie Towner, Ben Dunn, Heath Josk, on his way to flogging Central Coast's most washed Matty Wilco in the final. Wilco would later claim that it was his 18th birthday the night previous, and he may have inhibited his own potential by headbutting chalk and sinking Sambucas until the sun came up. But that is just pure, bitter, back-chatting bullshit.
Well said.
Wade was fucking hotter than magma that year and could have beat Wilco with his fucking eyes closed. So I think Wilco should issue a formal apology for that bullshit.
Peel it back, Wilco. Peel it back. Give the man his credit.
Junior Series.
Yeah.
Shit, I never heard that statement from Wilco. That's huge.
And now that you have, are you going to take his fucking head off?
I always see him in the freezer aisle at Foodworks. I'll hit him up.
Mate, I used to commentate a lot of those Junior Series events, and we've talked about this in probably every interview we've ever done together. But you used to like get so frustrated, and I felt like, particularly with yourself, you were one of the only guys other than Aussie, and maybe I haven't seen Kaloe and Dino do it, but like who physically punched yourself in the head mid-heat.
Joe Underoos, pretty iconic.
Joe Underoos done it too, yeah. What were sort of, where did that anger come from, that frustration? Was it because you were sort of wedged into competing and it wasn't a natural fit for you, or was it because of your performance, or, how come it elevated itself to a place where you had to lash out?
I don't know. I think I'm really lacking in coping mechanisms, and that's been something I've worked on my whole life. It's not something I'm proud of, punching myself in the head because of a surf contest. It's fucking lame, but I had a pretty troubled youth mentally and stuff, so that all stemmed from that. And it just deeply wanting to do good and deeply disappointed if I didn't. So yeah, it just came from that. I was just pissed off at myself a lot.
Instead of wanting to take the competitor's fucking head off.
Yeah, I never really.
Wade wanted to take his own fucking head off.
Yeah, fuck, you have to do a lot for me to be mad at you. But it doesn't take a lot for me to be pissed off at myself. So I'm still working on that, for sure. That'll be a lifelong thing, trying to better myself, I think.
You're your own worst critic. Isn't it true, Vaughan?
Oh, mate.
Aren't we all our own worst
The head noise that goes on up here between 3 and 5 in the morning sometimes.
But it's good to be aware of that shit. And I look back in that, like, obviously embarrassed, but also fully take knowledge of it and try not to keep that up.
Did the Junior Series...
I quit that pretty much when I quit that,
Was it, being part of that Billabong team, it was such a massive team by the time you're sort of leaving the Junior Series. Did you know straight away that just comps, that was it, you were done? Did you Kiwi grind for a bit?
I did Kiwi grind for a bit. The Junior Series was so mental. When I was doing it, it was like insanely fun. It was, everyone on there was really fucking cool. People from Hawaii were coming over. It was so many events in a year. We pretty much had a like full blown year.
Big names too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is
Really
like
good
Julian
surfing,
Wilson,
like
Owen
mental.
Wright era.
Like when I came into it, I saw like Fano and Bede and Joel Parker like leave in their last year or
Wow.
whatever, you know. So like that's the kind of shit that I was following.
And win CTs.
Exactly,
in
they
that
went
year,
straight
like,
away. Yeah,
wow.
Crazy.
So the level was crazy for that series at that point. And it continued like all the way through. My era was maybe a bit more rogue, I feel like. I feel like a lot of natural talent and a lot of fun boys as well at the same time.
Well played, fun boys. Respect to the fun boys.
But then it like came just under us, and it's like the guys like Owen and Julian and Wilco, and that went on to great like CT success. So like that whole time, the junior series, and there was money in it, and it was just real fun. Everyone, as soon as you got knocked out, you would just go to the hill and party, and everyone would be getting chicks and drinking, and it was just really fun. It was extremely fun.
Did you
And
have a
then
nemesis? Did you have a nemesis on the junior tour? I'm always curious to know what, like, you know,
Not
the
really.
grommy arm wrestles.
Not really. I wasn't like, nah. Everyone was kind of evenly matched in results and stuff like that. You talk about that junior series bullshit, but that I won. But I didn't know I was like 8th or something. I didn't know I was even in a chance until we paddled out, and they were like, "Oh, whoever wins this final, by the way, wins the junior series." You're like, "Fuck you!" I can't believe you did that. You just said that to me.
Hope it wasn't me reading
But,
that out. I feel bad now.
Yeah, I did a couple of chop ups and got through somehow. But
Fuck, it was a big deal, the junior series.
yeah, the junior series was mental, and that was my last event last year on it, and I just finished on such a high that it was really cool. But then through that, I got a seed into the QS. And I did about 6 months, didn't really like it, chilled out on it, and then went back the next year to try and do another kick at it. And I think I did another 6 months, and I just mid-heat in Brazil couldn't get a wave after like multiple events, not getting waves in heats from hassling, not even being able to. I went to Fiji, the Pasta Point one. And I didn't get a wave the whole trip.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Even the free surf's just locusts.
Yeah, and I was spending all my money, and I was going to like other ends of the earth, not seeing shit, just like going from hotel to comp site, losing, packing, going straight to the other end of the earth. It's not the way to see the world, I realised. And I was just mid-heat in Brazil. I just paddled straight in and walked off and quit that day. And I remember
That's amazing.
Yeah, some guys just quit surfing like that. Like, that's exactly what Occy did the first time he quit pro surfing. It was just, in a CT, I might have even been late into the draw, like a semi or something, in dead flat Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
And he just paddled in and went, "That's it, I'm done."
That's
finished.
so sick.
Yeah.
That's classy.
There was a period in my life when I was like working out that I'm happy when I do things that make me happy. And I got over that shit. And I wanted to go surf and see the world and properly live the experience of travel and surfing. And
Live, Vaughn! Let the man live!
yeah, let me live. And I didn't want to beat anyone.
Your life!
I didn't want to beat anyone. I didn't think I was better than anyone. I just like didn't have it in me. So I quit.
Just on that Past the Point QS.
That thing was so scorched.
I'm pretty sure that Wiggly Dante's got all your waves and everyone else's waves on the whole QS.
Well played,
Just
Wiggly.
motoring up the inside and just out frothing everyone, just flying directly at their heads as they tried to paddle, and no one pulled him up on it. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. The positive from that was having a sheesh and watching like Dustin Barker do these huge backside straighties. I remember that. That was worth it.
That's a worthy memory. Why not?
Yeah.
Who says
It's a
it was
pretty
all
good
a waste of time.
It's a pretty good
Yeah.
spot too, just having a couple of beers. I mean, I know it's expensive, but sitting on that point there, it's breaking. You could literally throw a tennis ball and hit someone in the head on a wave. It's
I'd love to go there without 300 piranhas.
Number 4.
Amigos. Now, back in the cashed out mid-noughties, if you won or performed well in the junior series, the fruit of your labour would be magazine covers, energy drink sponsors, and even a Surfing Life funded trip to Mexico with the top 5 seeds with their young budding film intern, Kai Neville.
Wow, so they're sending 16, 17-year-old kids to Mexico, chaperoned by Kai Neville. Kidding? What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, so the 20-minute Sandbottom masterpiece had an amazing cast. We've got Westo's BCF ambassador, Rye Craig. We've got Old Bar's most predictable, Ben Dunn. We've got a pre-shapeshifter era, Yaden Nicol, and Tasmania's most toey, Dion Aegis, and none other than Moffat Beach Mafia's kingpin, Wade Goodall.
Wow,
it's a
sick
cover
trip.
It's a cover mount DVD for the ages. A bunch of Australia's most promising graduating class in Puerto Escondido, in shin skimming trunks and clear as silver before picture mugs. It's some really raucous interviews, but Wade holds his own and then some, with some tapped aerial make rates and a staunch performance on a 6'6" Sparrow pintail no grip out at Solid Puerto. Run us through that trip.
Oh, those were so fun, those trips. That trip especially was so raucous. Yeah, it was just how we got to do that was special and it was fun. But anyway, it's like you go to Puerto Escondido and you think like giant beachy pits, and it was the exact opposite. It was just like little ramps and then a little left point and stuff. It's kind of perfect for us at that point. But we partied heaps. It was really fun to party there.
Talk us through the party scene over there. What does it look like?
We just kind of hung to the beachfront because it was kind of scary. Hadn't been to Mexico before, and you hear all the stories and stuff. So
Who was your chaperone too? Who was?
I can't remember if there was one.
Just 16, 17-year-olds let loose in Mexico.
Yeah,
How fucking crazy is that? Like, if
we were
you tried
pretty.
to...
Sorry.
No, well, like, if you just tried to do that today, it would be like, well, the dads would come and then the surf coaches and then the fucking TMs for everyone.
It's everything that's wrong with surfing, isn't it? Surfcore.
Yeah, it's psycho that it's just the boys.
Yeah, it was just different too then. Like, we were all hardened travelers at that point. 16-year-old at that time had been traveling by themselves for a good, 10 years.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It felt like I went to shit by myself when I was
Walked
so
out the
young.
gates of Moffat Beach Primary
Yeah.
School and never looked back. Had his rucksack on his shoulder and his
Yeah.
board bag under his arm.
And unless you had a turbo dad, you were just out there with your mates and everyone looked after each other and stuff. So that's what we did there. I remember one night, it was pretty funny. There was this bar that was like a library on the beach, and typical just party scene. Some guy challenged me to a cigarette trick smoking contest. And I obliged because I'm from Caloundra. And it went off. It was really good competition. I think he won, but
How?
we both got kicked out.
What was his trick in the Jap's eye? That's a classic.
I actually saw that at Ain't That Swell live in Bondi.
Yeah,
Mental.
Oh, that was Blake Mokley.
Yeah,
Onion
mate.
Moe. Yeah, the Spit the Winkler, the Swellian.
What really impressed me wasn't that he could fit the cigarette in his eye, that he could actually smoke out of it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Unbelievable.
His
He's a
lungs
man
in
of-
his nuts or something. That's amazing.
Man of
Should
many
study
talents.
that guy.
Shout out to Scum Valley's finest himself. Well played.
But yeah, I remember the big thing about that night was getting kicked out and Crakey taking me under his wing, and I kind of really respected Crakey. He was a bit older and did some amazing stuff. You know, he's an insane surfer and funny dude. So he's like, "I'll sort you out, Wado." And he took me back to his hotel room, put on the Disturbed CD, cranked it, and shaved my head. And he's like, "Let's go back to that bar," and he got me back in.
Down with the sickness.
Yeah, yeah.
Who needs electroconvulsive therapy when you've got Ryan Craig in your corner?
Or chaperones? Yeah. But that
Forget
was,
the ice baths. Forget the Wim Hofs, Vaughan.
It was written on the wall for Rye Craig. He won an air show when he was 15? 16. Well, Quicksilver did the air show series.
Yeah.
Is this in your notes, or can I play this one out?
No, go
So
for it.
Quicksilver in Australia, around about right on the turn of the millennium, we're just going, you know what? Fucking, we're sick of waiting around for, airs to come to competition. Let's take the competition to the air guys. Created a tour, and it was just, if you thought that the QS was, house of degeneracy and just absolute loony behaviour, imagine getting Dave Nielsen, James Caddo,
Randy the Goose Welch.
Randy the Goose Welsh. It was
Drew
just
Adler.
this
Drew
travelling
Science,
circus of absolute maniacs. And we went over to
Flintoff.
Cottesloe, and Rye Craig won. He won this event in almost non-breaking waves. And, they just drowned him in Emu Bitter. And I think he stayed drowned for the rest of his life, didn't he?
I know whenever you go up to Kalbarri, you can still smell it on him.
Oh, mate, it was sick. But that was a pretty magic era. You got to surf in a few of those too, didn't you, mate?
Yeah, the air show was the best time of my surfing, I feel like. So I was on the junior series, maybe not even yet, maybe early stages. And the air shows started popping off and it looked so mental. And I was obsessed with jumps when I was little because that's all you can do in Caloundra, it's just mini ramps. But I remember hitting up Billabong. I was like, I want to go on these air shows. And they're like, no, you have to go in the junior series. And I was like, well, can't I do both? And they're like, yeah, if you want, but we're not helping you. I was like, okay, cool. And I just flew to Piha. I flew to my first one was New Zealand. Flew to the airport by myself and just sat there the day before the comp and just waited for someone to walk out of the arrivals that I knew was in the comp.
Yeah.
So I did like a good day, and then Jared Sunderland walked out and he gave me a lift to the campsite where he was camping, and he's like, have you got any food, Wade? And I was like, fuck, no, I don't have food either. He's like, okay, we'll go to you. And it was just me and him in the tent the first night, and we just ate mushies and drank something warming.
What's his idea? What's his idea of food? Here you go, mate. This will sort you out. Handful of gold tops straight from the PR headland.
And then the next...
They're from behind Neil Finn's place.
Yeah. But that was the kind of situation it was, and it was like really funny and really fun. And the next day I went to the comp, met Dave Nielsen, and just travelled with him from then on.
Oh, and what was that like? He's
the
a true
greatest.
guru, a true oracle, Dave Nielsen.
Yeah.
There was no
The
aerial
finest
surfing
finest.
in this country before Dave Nielsen. He was the guy. He brought it.
Such a lord.
Yeah, he is the one. Dave is the most iconic and underappreciated surfer in Australian history, I reckon.
What's he doing for a quid these days, Davo? Is he on the hammer and
concreting?
sickle somewhere, wouldn't he?
He's Cretan, I think, for a bit.
No, but,
I haven't lost touch.
on
He
the
was up
barra?
in Noosa for a bit. That reminds me I've got to reach out.
But I saw him, last time I saw him, I think I was telling you this story just a couple of eps ago, Smithy. We'd organised a teams challenge up at Newcastle. It was an industry teams challenge event. He was in our team. We sort of had a group meeting the night before the comp, and we were like, all right, see you down there. These are the order of the surfers, blah, blah, blah. I went to bed, and then I woke up at Sparrows the next morning, walked out on the veranda of the pub, and there's Dave with a T-shirt on but no pants, just swinging his pants over his head like a lasso on the median strip outside the pub. It's like 5 a.m. No sleep. Absolutely.
He's so fucking cheeky. He's a true punk, but he's also hell nice too, which I think that was like a bit of a schooling. It's like he's so funny.
Such a nice guy,
So
yeah.
funny, but like he's so nice, but at the same time, like he had Nick Wallace in one heat in Perth or whatever, and he made me draw an upside down cross on his back. So when he went out he went to check in next to Nick, and being a Christian didn't go down too well.
Well played.
But just that kind of shit, I was like, why did you do that? He's like, I don't know, I just had to. He taught me how to fight. He's like, you just bash yourself before they do. Just like his
That's where that lineage of
lessons were
self-harm
so
comes
strange.
from. Aussie Ride, of
I'm
course.
so
Yeah, well,
funny.
that's it. Yeah, Oz
He taught
was
Aussie too.
under
Yeah.
Dave's wing, definitely. That's where he the first time he ever saw an aerial was on a surf trip for tracks, I think, with Dave, and that's steered him. And it's interesting to hear that you were also, basically tutored, mentored by him, because he is just one of those characters, mate. There's no one like him.
No.
Well, I'm stoked to pay tribute to him here. Up the
Definitely.
Davey.
Yeah, Nelson.
Hearing what happens next.
Passion pop. When you're a grom, you've already got cutties and floaters down. Try some airs, boys. That was the profound call to action of Wade Goodall's magnum opus, Passion Pop.
You heard the man!
P-Pop was a full tilt reckoning of all things good in surfing in 2006. A stacked field of loose units suckling at the ample teat of a pre-GFC surf industry, whacking it to an unashamed Australian hip-hop soundtrack. Wade was...
Unashamed Australian hip-hop track. Those words do not exist in the same sentence together, Vaughn.
Wade was fucking peaking, bringing tech airs into competitions and unique lines into free surfing. A litany of core icons were in the cast. Memorable moments from fellow Billabong stablemates include Sean Cansell surfing backdoor at night, Taj acid dropping out of a helicopter in a basketball jersey, And Luke Dawes and Woodstock in a go for hell for leather, piss-fueled dance-a-thon. Tribal Elders, Margot and AI, both with some iconic mature age rail game. And Oki coining his iconic phrase, one board, one wax job. Passion Pop was the quintessential scratch disc in every worthy Grom's DVD wallet and as timeless as Diamante bedazzled DC skate shoes and hilltop hoods. Wade, tell us a bit about making Passion Pop and the trick itself.
That was just
incredible.
That was really good. I mean, that time in surfing was fucked up. We had it so easy, and it was a lot of fun. Around that, I don't know why they decided to pick a piddly little shove it that I did to launch that whole scenario. But they did. It's marketing 101. But yeah, somehow that all came together, and it was, I don't know. It was that I'm super embarrassed about the intros that I did with that fucking Strook white flat brim.
I reckon it's so iconic.
It's hard for a kid to come out of Caloundra in the 2000s.
Mate, it was a tough era for youth, really. Youth fashion was, it was an ugly period.
Yeah.
As we can see on show.
But that was so fun, that project. That was my first like humongous surf video to be in. So the fact that they went so turbo and it was really fun. They named it after a bottle of cheap piss that we all got rampant on every weekend when we were little. Like, we didn't have any money. We
Rite of passage in this country.
Yeah. You got $3.50. You got a night. And that's where it came from. Dean Brady named it. I didn't want to name it. Got forced to name it by the corporate pressure. Yeah, I think Dean Brady named it Passion Pop.
That's what you say in the film, yeah.
I
think he says, you drink a shitload of Passion Pop, why don't you just call it that? And then you go,
See, it's cool, like just emanating coolness.
Yeah, it's
reflecting on this is just takes me back to just how much you'd analyze the videos back in the day. You know, like that's what I'm hoping happens with Pentecostal, because it was just such a fucking huge deal to any new video coming out, even though they were starting to swamp by then. They were coming out a lot more regularly, but they still meant the world, man. Like, you can speak to anyone who's a grommet underneath you, and they'll talk about how influential that movie was to them.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and it makes me stoked that people took that away from it. But it's still cooked.
Bring back the sacred texts, Vaughn. You know what I mean? I mean, we've entered this kind of tidbit, web edit era. It's all a bit of a galaxy of bits and bobs, isn't it? I mean, that's what Pentecostal breaks the mold there. But, I actually just recently found my whole stack of DVDs and VHSs. And it was, it's kind of cool to have it all there. And there are iconic films that still stand up today. And you can put those films on, weirdly, and they're still incredible.
Oh, man.
The surfing still stands up.
Big time.
Almost prefer it.
Yeah,
well,
the cast
Andy's
is
section.
mental too. Yeah, Andy's section is...
man.
I rewatched it last night, obviously. Andy and Margot have some fucking insane things. Oki's only got a few waves, but they're fucking ballistic. Luke does. His section is
so good.
fucking tapped. Sean
Yeah.
Cancel, amazing. Vassar's got a section in there, a couple of waves. They're mental.
Vassar surf's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was I going to say? When cutting that movie, Jake had that Andy section in 2 songs by JJ Cale, and it was the best double song section I've ever seen. It was incredible, and Andy didn't want it. He wanted the amp section, so he got Mickey Avalon, or whatever. But I just remember when it came out and it was Mickey Avalon when it came on. I was just like, because I'd seen that one and it was like. Just an ode to Morning of the Earth or something, like eternally good surfer to really good music, and it was going to be maybe one of the best sections, but it never came out.
Does it still exist on Donlan's hard
I don't
drive?
know. I'll ask him.
Come on, man.
It was
Ask
insane.
him. Let's get that.
Big shout out to Jake.
Straight on YouTube.
Yeah.
Mate, the original collaborator for you. What a powerhouse you two were for a long period of time there.
Yeah, we had a good stint. He's a really talented dude, good friend. Fucking, he's a rat. He's everything good. He's scum Sunny Coast Taunton, come good. Still up there doing the same shit, making stuff for the community. That's what he did for us when we grew up. That's how we started filming and stuff.
Mental community man, go on you.
Yeah, he is. He's a legend.
Donlan.
Shout out Donlan.
Number 2.
Tropical Punch. Wade heads to the Pacific alongside the most stacked team in Billabong history, a team so significant, so profound, so earth-shattering, they created a polar vortex meteorologists say brought a snowstorm to Tahiti and began the melting of the permafrost in Arctic Siberia. We're talking the late great AI here, Joel Schnorkos Parkinson, Taj Mahal Burrow, and of course, our boy Wado. But the trip was the beginning of a budding love affair Wade would develop with the Pacific over the years, first Tahiti and later Bizarro Tahiti, better known as Pohnpei. What is it that has drawn you to the Pacific over the years, Wade?
Well, the waves just speak for themselves. It's the best. It's the most insane waves I've ever seen. And coming from tiny beaches and piddly reefs, like you see it over surf history. People coming from Florida and shit like that. Like we're chasing that stuff we see on the movies that we don't get to experience. And everyone's different. But what was I going to say?
Yeah, just talk to us about Pacific energy.
Now I want to take him to Tahiti.
It's a whole different ballgame. We're talking scooped out, tripped out orbs of ocean breaking over 2-3 foot of water, like chopes.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in those days, like that's kind of early era chopes.
Yep.
Talk to us about that wave and how much fucking mind melter it was to rock up there as, I don't know, you're probably in your early 20s.
Yeah, it was mind blowing. I was so lucky to get in the trials every year to do that and spent so much time there. My surfing out there was a bit more of a slow progression than, say, like Dylan and Laurie that I'd go with every year. Even so, there'd be years early on where they'd be towing already and I was still watching kind of thing because it was fucking scary and they are, in my opinion, the best big wave riders in the world. So I just kind of like watched them for a few years extra before I got into it. But I don't know, it's just something about it. Like once you around those waves, you want to get one. Everyone's different, but like I just wanted to get one and then eventually went into Dylan not being Laurie's tow partner anymore. And for 1 year I did it and it was just like the craziest, funnest year I've ever done because I like don't even know how to ride a jet ski and
what a place to learn.
Yeah. I learnt at Chippies. Yeah. So like I towed him into that cover he got, that Surfing Life, I think.
Oh, that thing's fucked up.
Whipped him into that and kind of learnt how to tow big waves there. And then Tahiti was on another level because you had to like drop him off and go through the reef and stuff and stay in the wash, keep the jet ski going because it cavitates and it's giant waves behind you and stuff. And then there was also like really pretty hot competition out there because it was like a lot of bravado and shit on the skis. And just remember one, like we actually had like wide brimmed cowboy hats on just for sun protection really, but it's and everyone was like snaking each other and shit and we were just like towing out open ocean swells and doing flips off the back and stuff. And it was just like we just took such a lighthearted approach to our big wave tow partnership that it was just heaps fun. But then it would get serious because I'd be towing Laurie, who in my opinion is the best big wave surfer in the world in big barrels. And I've got the responsibility of getting him into a wave and there's like a couple different skis like trying to cut us off. That happens like in that, like people feel entitled even though it's not their turn and stuff. And just remember like you looking back at Laurie like, what the fuck do I do? And he's like, don't you ever let those motherfuckers get my way. And just like go and just hold your own, try and cut their ski off. And that shit was just like, we towed for 3 days and then I just remember like almost passing out on the third day on the ski. Just like I haven't been scared or like focusing so much for 3 days of my life, and I just like crashed, and I was like, Yeah, I was in a
Man,
hole after that.
That's
and
the first time I've ever heard of what is inside Laurie bubbling to the surface. You know, like what it takes and what you need to have to surf those waves as well as he does.
Yeah.
You need to have that bit of mongrel in you that, you know, you don't see it in him in his day-to-day life. Like, you just don't ever see that side of him where he's, like, screaming and just gone into beast mode.
Yeah, but it takes a situation like that for him to get in that. Like, he's an absolute psycho, and he's a hardened man, and he's from, like, a tough upbringing, you know? Like, his brothers are gnarly.
Yeah.
In no way are they pussies, that's for sure. But he's the coolest dude ever.
Yeah,
the
just
most
so
humble
cool.
dude ever. But he won't take no shit, and he stands up for what he deserves, and that's perfect.
And what about the late great Andy Irons? He was on that trip too, and he was a part of that same era that you were at Billabong. I mean, what was it like seeing him plying his trade inside gargantuan Pacific orbs?
Yeah, it's pretty
humbling.
Yeah, just surreal, really. Yeah, that swell that him and Bruce were falling out of stuff, paddling, was I've never actually seen anything like that since, I don't think. Just the sheer mind-blowingness of what they were doing. Dorian was another one out there that was really incredible to watch. Ian Walsh as well. Manoa was in those days was the man. I mean, Rayman is the man too, but Manoa Drolet was just silk. And I think that's what I fell in love with too, was he was silk on a wave that could like pull every limb off your body. And I was like, I didn't know people could do that.
Wow.
Like, we've seen it in prior where it's kind of just like you just kind of squat and then do that layback or whatever and make it, you know. But then like Manoa came through, and then I reckon Loz through Manoa kind of worked out the silk in big waves and stuff. So I think that's a fucked up way to surf. If you can surf those waves smooth with style, is perfection.
Talk to us about how ocean behaves, like at a place like Chopes. Like, it's unlike anywhere else. Just how you have to commit to putting yourself under the ledge there, and the weightlessness on the drop. Fuck, the whole thing looks fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it gets fully proper beyond like those waves I've towed into. Like I'm talking about it like I'm a tow guy. I'm not. I did a year on it. You know.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, even the paddle
but
ones.
my experience,
Even
the paddle stuff. Like it's just like a beyond vert situation, and it's
What are you looking at? What are you looking at? You must be just looking at fucking bone dry.
You're looking at like a underground bowl, kind of. On the big ones, on the ones I towed, it was like, picture a curved wall like that, like around like a burr, like a giant burr with a tunnel, and then out the top of it around the corner you can see the mountains. That's what it looks like at the start. That's in the tow ones, and then and I was like shoulder hopping. So imagine what those guys are seeing. But like,
and then paddling it, like when those big ones, they stand up, they don't move, right? It's like a fucking stationary wave. You just there's no kind of sets approaching. There's just suddenly the fucking plug hole gets pulled, and it's
it's just a matter of like committing and paddling fucking crazy hard.
Whilst the ocean's just sucking out beneath you, but you're not moving. Like, fuck, it's so odd.
Yeah, but it is so perfect that it's doable, you know. Except if you get a real west bowl, you get fucked. I hit a west bowl once, like tried to pull out backside. You know how it is, pull out backside. Tried to penetrate and just went straight up to the lip. It was in the comp actually, and went over the falls, hit my head like instantly. I've never like hit the bottom that quick, and it was just this big tink. And I just remember just being real dizzy, and then I cut. There was like blood spitting out of my head, like
staples and the whole work.
But I was
really
really
great
lucky.
horror film, Vaughn.
Insanely lucky.
The heavy thing about any
hit the bottom
cut,
quick if you're gonna hit it there.
Like the journey with a cut, no matter even at a big day on the inside West Bowl, it's only just beginning, because fuck, the staff over there is outrageous. If you have any open wound, man, you get these little flies that just straight onto you, and I had blood poisoning over there from like a tiny little nick in in my foot. It just went so septic.
Sure, it wasn't all that heroin you were mainlining though, Vaughan.
Oh well, what Pohnpei? Is that the capital city? Fuck,
the
that's
pickup
a
spot, isn't it?
shithole.
Isn't
Holy
it?
moly!
It's
Fucking
funny.
hell, it's like Coolangatta 1984. It's really dark and dirty, isn't it?
Mental.
Yeah, I mean,
Nail in China.
staying
Yeah.
out the end of the road is the goal. You don't really want to go in there too much. We had so much fun there with Dill, especially. Just getting little matchboxes full of weed and riding around on jet skis and just like I remember like towing onshore like 8 to 10 foot chopes, and we just like would get ripped and then just tow at the wave, and it's really fun. It's like if you hit it before it breaks, it's like a giant like a snowboard kicker, and you could do all flips and stuff, and then. That's when we started getting into like the strap flip shit, and Dylan and that would make these tow boards that were like for strap like.
Yep, I've
towing
heard
jumps
Kai
and
Lenny
shit.
mention both you guys as like two of his all-time heroes.
Honoured. But yeah, it's just always fun shit going on over there. You're in paradise. And someone gave you a jet ski. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, at the end of
How
the
can you not
road
have
is
fun?
so beautiful, isn't it? Like that's like that Papiete is, and the end of the road could not be. It's heaven and hell. It's Hieronymus Bosch. That's what it is. It's a diptych of heaven and hell. It is unbelievable over there.
And I stay with the Mayoni family over there. And they're absolutely like beautiful old couple, mummy and papa. And they we didn't speak English. They didn't speak English. We didn't speak French or Tahitian.
Yes.
And we've had this relationship over many, many years of non-verbal. And it's a really special thing.
Fuck, you must be good at charades, Wade.
It's just, it's cool when you can simplify it. Like, I also kind of think about it now, it's kind of lazy on my part for sure, not learning any of the language. But like our relationship managed, and it was like, yeah, unspoken word is like, a thing I like.
Can I just share with you my experience of surfing chopes? Because it was pretty embarrassing. I was surfing it at 3 foot, and I'd borrowed like a 610 off Sam Carrier, like big wave board, because he was like, you'll need
Fucking
this.
love Sam
Got
Carrier.
out there, and it was just, fucking minuscule, still bending around the corner a little bit, but I ended up getting into one, and had that thing where, when you don't wax up and your back foot slips off. So you're sort of sitting down, and I ended up just getting completely punished, lagooned on a 3 foot day, which is pretty humiliating. Yeah. And then I was walking over the reef, and Shay Lopez goes to me, was that you? Was that you on that last one? I was like, yeah, man. He goes, that was the worst backside tube riding I've ever fucking seen.
You're on a 610. How are you getting in the tube? You must have been on the tail pad, Vaughan.
Fucking hell. I was like, geez, I've never ever ran a photo of Shay Lopez in waves ever again. Amazing. Only joking. I love you, Shay. Only joking. I wasn't that guy.
How good's Sam Carrier?
Oh, the man.
Oh.
Hey, he'd been listening. Samos.
Yeah, mate.
Coodaline God.
Up your mate. Up all the French crew who listen to this, the podcast. Big Swellian crew over there.
Allez, fleur.
Yeah, it's a Force Medieu. Remember that?
Medieu?
Medieu.
As in Medieu Depardieu?
Yeah.
Depardieu.
Big shout out to the Frenchies and the expats.
Yeah.
Joan
Love you, boys.
Deroux, Sam Carrier, and of course, France's finest, Gerard Depardieu. Creative destruction.
Yes.
Fresh back from back to back, broken legs. Legs? Pfft. Who needs them, right, Wado? Wado strikes out and launches his own project with former sponsor Billabong as benefactor. My memories of creative destruction are of brooding, black-clad backside aeroverses of modern Australian surfing distilled to its corest essence. That is to say, crumbly, wedgy beach breaks, clinical power surfing mixed with mind-boggling power punts, and like all good Australian films of the time, a solid helping from Laurie fucking Towner. What are your memories of that project? Wado?
Way ahead of its time.
Yeah, looking back on it,
crazy.
I guess it
Yeah.
was. Like that was when blogs were kind of popping off at the start. It was actually all Jake's idea, Donlan, because anyone that knows me knows I'm not a talk show host. I'm rubbish at that.
Doing all right, mate.
You're doing good.
So hard on
So,
yourself.
like, yeah, I know, but not a natural talent at that situation. So
Well, you know Oscar Wilde, but you're having a crack, mate.
Yeah.
That's what's important. Isn't it,
Anyway.
Vaughan? Having a crack.
Have a crack.
Have a fucking crack.
anyway, that was super fun, and it was nice to start doing stuff that wasn't self-absorbed. So the whole thing was there was a bunch of stuff that were just surf trips, but there was also a bunch of actually themed and missions that we wanted to do, whether it's go to the orphanage in Mexico and shed light on that situation and how surfing is helping them. Through that episode, they were they ended up getting some massive donations.
Wow.
So
Sick.
through that, and then like, of course, the whole Metallica thing was really cool. And
Yeah, what was the go there? I vaguely remember that. Well, you're meeting the boys?
yeah, so just being a metalhead forever, I just really liked the chance to meet them, and it was really cool. Like Rob and Kirk were super into surfing, and
Yeah, Rob Trujillo, man. I got this classic photo of him in a Bondi Board Riders vest down there at Elksy Surf Shop on Campbell Parade. Full old school wax head.
So we were in Costa Rica, like surfing with those guys and getting boat out to Witches Rock with those guys and surfing and stuff, and went to it was just all through Billabong's hookup, with the collab and stuff. But they were really, really nice, and the other two were not so nice.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, James didn't want to really bar of us, and Lars is like, yeah, he
Just
seems
fucking
like a
choking that
What
hard.
was he
on his-
actually doing? Like, give us an insight into the dynamics of that.
I only saw
famous
Lars
band.
from a distance, and didn't look like he was doing much good shit.
He's famously good at gargling his own balls, though. I know
He
that.
might have been doing that. He was kind of hunched over. I have no idea what he's up to, but like, fuck, he doesn't have to.
Hunched over, saw him from a distance.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty fitting.
And
He's doing
James
the
didn't
Todd
really-
Carney, wasn't he? Just
Yeah, or the Gollum.
Hetfield didn't really give us much, but like, I don't fucking expect much from them, so it's fine.
you don't
Like,
need it, mate.
Who cares?
And who are you helping out at Burning Man? Just the most fried fucking reptiles
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
That was a funny one. That was actually suggested by Billabong. Someone at Billabong. They're like, you should go to Burning Man.
Fuck,
I was
man,
like,
why aren't
okay,
sponsors
fine.
doing that now, Smithy? Where's the team manager for fucking, I don't know, Colt? Is that still
Bob
going?
Hurley, maybe? Chloe, you know what you need? Go down to the Nevada desert, get on the googs.
But how fucked up an idea is that? Hey, like, here, let's pay for these guys to go, and you're not allowed to film there, so it probably will get taken down. It's like,
That's so
that
good.
is outrageous.
What was going on there? What's going on the ground at Burning Man circa, what was that, 2009, 10, 11?
I don't know. I think
What are
it
your
was,
memories
I
from
think
it? Do
was
you have any?
I think it was the beginning of it not really being what it was. Like right now, it's cooked. I think it's a shell of its former self, apparently.
Yeah, Kanye West is glamping in like towing McMansions and
Yeah,
Yeah, doing like religious sermons and shit.
yeah.
whatnot. That's a bit much.
But it was just funny, like just.
You got it in at its prime, I think.
Yeah, it was really fun.
I mean,
and
Luke Stedman told me he ran into a woman once coming back from this kind of TP10 and she looked all euphoric and he's like, where have you been, darling? And she said, I've just had like 14 orgasms. There was apparently a cunnilingus tent where I think, what was it, women all sit down on chairs and they're kind of blindfolded or something and men slowly rotate like
my
some
God.
kind of carousel of fish eating. Ikan Bakata.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's just it's surreal.
Tap into any of that
Surreal.
way?
Yeah, I did actually. One night was huge. We rode our pushies into the desert because we saw all these flames going off, and then it ended up being 3 massive trucks. And the whole deal out there is like they treat you like shit and make you get in the dirt a lot. So
Hazy.
some guy was like, "Yeah, first timers, like get in the fucking dirt, cover yourselves." Like, and then we did it. I was like, okay. And then it was just 3 massive trucks. One was a giant grand piano, and each pipe an organ, and each pipe when he played a key would shoot flames out.
Wow.
The other one was just this big thing that would build up like a hooping sound and then just shoot a giant ball. And then the other one was, I can't remember, but it was just like 3 trucks shooting fire at each other. And he's like, "Oh, you never seen a fucking propane pissing contest before?" I was like, this is too much. And then we and then there's all sorts of just illusionary stuff out there, which I love the art side of it. Like I've always had books of the installations and stuff. So that's one massive thing I wanted to check out. And you can never trust anything out there. And the moon was suspiciously low for that time of night. So we assumed it was fake and rode towards it for an extended period of time. And then, I just remembered like the sound of like 5 bikes skid, and then someone just like, fuck, real moon. And we turned around and then like went to this other hut, walked in, and I was the only one in there. And then there was these 2 twins in there, dude twins. And I remember they were standing at opposite sides of this giant wooden teepee, and they were just staring at each other, and I was kind of wigging, and then they just sprinted at each other at crazy fast, stopped just in time, and then just started making out. And I just ran out of there, and it was just really intense. So
And
there's
you've never forgotten it, clearly.
No,
It's
never forgotten it. And
something
I was like, it's just one of those things. Did it happen? Did it not? Like, and that shit is out there. People are doing that shit, and the installations and stuff. It's like, I just like the surrealness of it all. It was really fun.
Whole thing sounds like.
But we didn't last very long. We ran out of supplies and stuff. We were real rookies, and we were leaving.
Ran out of
And
rock
everyone was
melon.
like, "Yeah, fuck, where are you going?" And it's like 6 days left or something. Like, oh, we got no more stuff. But I like the trade situation out there. It was really cool. Yeah, we just trade for trade and met heaps of cool people.
You'd be minted with like a big box of like Billabong Weddies and fucking.
Yeah, we didn't go back with much shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That was another good one that was a sign of the times, I reckon. How that went through was. I'm glad it did.
Dane Reynolds reportedly bringing back marine layers, as we'll find out more about later. But any chance of Creative Destruction getting another go, mate?
No way. No.
What would like now that you've looking over your career, we can see that there's big creative projects always on the boil, or somewhere in the near future for you. Have you thought about life beyond Pentecostal now?
Not really. I mean, I'm thinking, and I don't really act until something seems right. I would never get into something like Creative Destruction again. That was a time, and it tried to get extended, but I bowed out because I felt it was unnecessary to keep it going. It did its job, and it was really good. And I don't ever want to waste anyone's time or overstay in any realm. So, fuck that. I would never do anything like that again. Pentecostal took a lot out of me, like creative-wise, and
it's time to.
I don't want to jump into that again right now, but I
just turn the dirt, mate. Turn the soil.
Start digging a hole.
Let it regenerate.
Retill.
That's it.
I don't know. It's just, and these times are hard too. Who knows what's going on? Like, I'm heavily grounded, and who knows what surfing is going to be in the tail end of this pandemic. So it's really hard. I'm just enjoying hanging with my family and surfing and working on the computer on design stuff and that. I've been learning a lot of that.
Mentor.
And
you just said a word then, heavily grounded. What's the worst thing that you got heavily grounded for as a grommet? Have you got one?
We blew up my brother's pulsar in the driveway with soda bombs once. That was Dad wasn't stoked on that.
Yeah, pulsars don't grow on trees, Wade.
Yeah.
What about you, Surfcore? You ever cop a hiding from the folks for doing something?
Not from my folks, but from my best mate's folks. He'll know when he hears this, but they had like a Datsun 120Y, like the family. They had like a whole bunch. It was, classic rural Australia. There's sort of like 8 like composting cars in the backyard and stuff, all of like varying quality. And there was this Datsun 120Y that his older brother branded as like the paddock basher. And like, they have a big paddock there, and there's all these like iron barks and flatted gums in there. And we're doing, figure eights around him and all this shit. And then like I was like 13 or 14. I could barely drive a car. Like I'm like fucking doing this, but I'm the one behind the wheel when the folks get home from work.
Oh.
And they just jump out, and I was just in there, and I drive up, and I'm like, oh, hey, how's it going? And like, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, oh, I was just having a thrash in the paddock basher. They're like, that's not a fucking paddock basher. That's our main car. It was like belted radiator. It was just like busted, steam coming out. So fucked.
Smithy?
Yeah, we weren't really that kind of household, Vaughn. I mean, I would say to my mother something along the lines of, Mum, I'm going to the pub. And she'd be like, well, when are you going to do your homework? And I'll be like, well, I'll do it when I get back. And she's like, well, you make sure that dot to dot looks fucking top notch, Smithy. So, I mean, it was always a dialogue between us. And, I think, the proof is in the pudding. She raised a top-notch gent.
On your mate. Yeah. On your mate.
Do you remember the more core division dot to dots? Like those
the
2-page. Yeah, there was one where like Josh Kerr was doing a punt out of a chick's ass. Like it was like if you joined all the dots, it was like a naked chick's ass, and he's like flying out of it. It was so iconic.
Spit the Kersey. That's a new one. Wow.
That wraps up This Is Your Life Goodie.
Yay!
And now, for a new segment we like to call Murica!
Murica!
Fuck yeah! Coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah, America! Fuck yeah! Freedom is the only way, yeah! Terrorists, your game is through, 'cause now you have to answer to America! Fuck yeah! So lick my butt and suck on my balls, America! Fuck yeah! What you gonna do when we come for you? America, yeah!
Welcome, Todd Pride.
Exactly what we sound like.
Yeah.
Editor of Surfer Magazine. Not Surfing Magazine, it's gone, Vaughn. Defunct.
Can you believe it? Tragically.
I can't believe it, but I'm glad that there's one print title still beating the drum for print and doing their best to cut down the last remaining trees in the Brazilian rainforest. Well done, Todd.
Thank you, sir. Well, you guys got surfing, Surfing Life, Surfing World. You guys still have a couple standing, right?
So many. So we've actually got more surf mags now than we had in our junior days, Smithy, I think.
There's no underground surf anymore.
No.
That one bit the dust.
That one was so mad.
And Waves. Waves magazine's gone too, sadly. R.I.P.
Stab doesn't do print anymore either, by the way.
Pour one out.
But Todd Prod, you guys do print magazines over there in the land of stars and bars, and you've actually got your, what is this, the 60th, 50th anniversary edition, volume number DOS? Tell us about it.
You guys cut out there for a second. Did you ask me about the 60th anniversary?
Yeah, tell us. Oh, this is going great. Yeah, man. Tell us about the 60th anniversary edition, volume 2.
Surfer turned 60 this year, which is pretty fucking nuts. So basically, like, the idea that we had for the volume was that, like, we wanted to do something that wasn't, like, strictly backward facing, like looking at where Surfer has been, but also, like, looking at what's happening now and what's interesting and where it's going. And so, like, one of the things that we're doing is, like, for the covers, we're kind of playing homage to, like, the most iconic covers of Surfer's past, but kind of like using like new people and, settings to kind of like just play homage. And, Wade actually was on the first one of these. There he is.
Yeah. What about panelists? What'd you make of that, Wade?
Yeah, that made me super.
But that was the original was from 1969. It was a John Severson kind of design mock-up of a Roger Adams like off the lip bit at Santa Cruz, which I guess was super progressive at the time, but yeah, we thought they like Wade especially with Pentecostal and like how creative and awesome that movie was, that he was like kind of the perfect fit for that first issue. And then the second one is a play off of the classic like Craig Peterson shot of Kevin Naughton jumping off the bow in Fiji, which like this wasn't like the issue that we had planned, but with coronavirus and everything going on, we were like, let's do something that's like about the escape that surfing provides like in difficult times. And we're like looking through the archive and thinking like what kind of epitomizes that most. And like, we just kept going back to like Naughton and Peterson's travels and like those early covers in the 80s. Like they're just so cool. And I think like nothing really captures that like spirit of like what surf travel is like all about more than what those dudes were doing. And they were just like shoestringing it, you know, just like, you know, working along the way, like doing whatever they can to get it done. And yeah, just iconic.
The Surfer magazine 1984 cover, correct me if I'm wrong, Vaughn, but is this not the one that gave your old man Alfie nightmares for years afterwards,
yeah,
mate?
My old man, he'd been over there and surfed before the crew got there, and I think he slept on the island and cut a snake in half and slept with the rats and all sorts of stuff. And next thing you know, it's on the cover of Surfer. So
well played.
I won't tell him that you're on the show because he'll pull out his little Todd Prod voodoo doll and start jabbing his weed stalks into it.
Oh, it's not Todd Prod's fault.
But what I wanted to, it was cool hearing you say, mate, you know, like the thought that goes into the cover, the thought that went into Pentecostal, obviously. Like these are ideas and, you know, you're building basically, what are you building? You're building like the fantasy, right? And that's what magazines have always done so well. But that fantasy sort of is starting to go missing in this sort of digital era. The challenge for surf mags in Australia for sure is getting people to care still about those ideas. Is that the same for you guys? Are you guys sort of, you know, when you became the editor of Surfer, you're taking over something bigger than just a brand. You're taking over this sort of monument to the culture, and a lot of pressure comes with that. Do you find now, after, you know, doing it for so long, that people care just as much as they used to about the print title and how it's going?
It's tough to say because like some people, like especially with this volume, like the people who are old enough to remember these original issues that we're like playing homage to, it's like they've hit me up and they're like, this is the coolest thing that we've seen in surfing in forever or whatever. But, you know, it's like I don't know, I'm kind of curious. Like we haven't gotten as much of that reaction from like younger folks. I think they like do like still appreciate like what a print magazine is and like what it represents. But I mean, it's just tough because you're competing with like literally like an entire universe of Instagram videos and, you know, things that are like, don't get me wrong, like super entertaining, but it's like, there's not a lot of thought like going into that stuff. And, you know, but like, it's the same thing for like surf films, like Wade with your movie, you know, that thing like really stood out because it was something that you worked on for years and like put a lot of thought into. And, you know, so it's like, I think people do know the difference, but it's just like, yeah, I mean, it is tough. Like you're competing with so much now. It's just insane.
Tell us about the features in the upcoming issue, because I understand there's some stoinkers in there. There's a feature on the newly minted world champ, Italo Ferreira. What did you learn about Italo?
You know, it's interesting. So Ashton Douglas, our managing editor, she wrote it's basically like a profile on Italo, but also kind of on the whole Brazilian storm and like how they kind of rose to prominence. And it's a really crazy story because I think a lot of people just like assume that, you know, whatever led to the rise of the Brazilian storm is going to keep going and the Brazilians are just going to dominate professional surfing for, you know, like generations to come. But the truth is that like it was like a very specific kind of combination of circumstances that happened when they were kids where, you know, the industry was booming and like, you know, they had managers who could like, you know, put them in contact with the right sponsors who could take them to, you know, like Hawaii every season, J-Bay, and like, you know, the waves that they now surf on tour, it's like, you know, they were surfing these waves when they were kids and like cutting their teeth. And the surf industry there, just like it is everywhere else, like it is just like a shadow of its former self. And so, you know, those kids aren't getting the same opportunities that allowed for like the rise of an Italo, which is like pretty crazy to think about because, you know, it's like now it's like the next generation, like Italo is basically like sponsoring kids from his local break himself. You know, he's like paying for them to go to contests and trying to pay that forward. But that's not like a super sustainable, like, you know, way of progressing Brazilian surfing. So I don't know. It's like, it was really eye-opening because I totally thought the opposite. I thought that, you know, they'd crack this code and that they're just so fiery and competitive that, you know, long would they kind of reign. But it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case like after this generation.
Well, that's great news, Vaughn. I guess we can expect the Brazilian storm to peter out in a measly high-pressure system. Nothing but drizzle. I'm interested to know too. I mean, Italo Ferreira's throwing money at sponsoring the local Groms. What about Medina? The guy's got millions of followers. He's dating several supermodels at once. Is he not forking out to sponsor the new generation of Brazilian talent?
Sorry, was that a question?
Let's take that as a comment. Moving along. Now, talk to us, John. Talk to us, John, about...
Jed, I got to stop you. I'm going to say something that I love you guys' show, and one of my favorite aspects of it that is probably a lot of Americans' favorite aspect is trying to figure out what exactly it is that you are saying, Jed.
Oh, they don't call me the punch drunk pikey for nothing, Todd
The
Prod.
slang is so fast and loose. Like, I think there was something you said in an episode recently. You're talking about like bleaching your corn or getting your corn bleached.
Ah, yes, yes.
That's one of Vaughn's.
What the hell? What could that possibly mean?
Explain, Vaughn.
It's basically just dragging your balloon knot so hard in the face of a wave that it changes colour.
You know, your sticky date, your date, your
Surely that makes perfect sense.
I understood every word of that.
Your date, your cornhole, your sphincter.
I got it.
Moving on to something more serious, Todd Prod. The George Floyd Black Lives Matter paddle outs that have happened all over America these past few weeks. We've seen some huge protests in LA and other parts of California. Yeah, what's been your experience of protests over there in the States and the rebellion in general?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's such a crazy like time, unlike any other that I think any of us have lived through over here, as I'm sure you guys know. But yeah, you know, like when it first started, like, and there were these planned paddle outs. I don't think anyone really knew what to expect, if it was going to be, you know, a couple dozen surfers or, you know, 100 surfers. But I went to one of the early ones in Moonlight Beach in Encinitas, and, you know, it was organized by Sal Masekela and Textured Waves and a couple other groups. And you couldn't find a parking spot for like a mile in any direction. We got down to the beach, and there was like probably 5,000 people. It was like just a blanket of people covering the whole beach. And, you know, everyone has like signs, and people have like painted their boards with like no justice, no peace, and like these protest slogans. And yeah, it was honestly like one of the most powerful, like coolest things I've ever seen in surfing. And, you know, Sal had some words, and we did like a little, you know, it was like a 8-minute pause for, you know, to kind of remember the time that George Floyd spent like under that officer's knee. And then we all paddled out, and yeah, you know, there's like Groms who are like participating, and they're just like, you know, shouting these chants. And so like, I think that what is happening in America is like, it's affecting every single person on such a deep level. Like, it's like nothing we've ever seen before, really. And yeah, I mean, the paddle outs is just a beautiful thing to see like surfers get involved. You know, it's like not that often that I feel like surfers really take much of a stand for anything, at least over here. But you know, it's funny because I was thinking about you guys, like in terms of the fight for the bite and the protest movement over there. That was like the only thing that, you know, that it reminded me of in surfing was, you know, those mass paddle outs in Torquay and elsewhere where, you know, you guys really stuck it to them and sent the Norwegians packing.
Indeed we did. Yeah, what do you reckon, like, has inspired surfers to get active in this way? I mean, yeah, like you said, and it's not like there is a huge amount of black surfers in the lineup, so it's interesting that, yeah, surfers have reacted this way. It's a predominantly Anglo-Saxon sport in America and Australia. I
mean, I think, like, we all saw the video of what happened to George Floyd, and I think that if you're in America, like, that, those videos are so common. Like, it was right after the death of Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor. And, you know, these are like super high profile national situations that have been captured. Well, you know, in the case of Ahmaud and George, it was captured on video. And it's just, I think it's impossible to not have a reaction to it. And, you know, with surfers, it's like a paddle out is like kind of our most comfortable reaction to something like that. You know, I don't think a lot of surfers are used to taking to the streets and like marching, although I've seen a lot of surfers do that too. But, you know, a paddle out is just like right in our wheelhouse. So I think it makes a certain kind of sense. It's like everyone's looking to grapple with this moment in whatever way they can, and that's the way that surfers have been doing it.
And you mentioned a bit about textured waves. Can you explain what they are? A bit about that crew.
Yeah, so it's a group of women from kind of all over the country here in the U.S. and they're Black women, and they've surfed for years, but they didn't really see themselves like represented in the media. Like what you said, Jed. It's like the typical image that most people picture when they picture surfers is people who honestly look exactly like me. It's like a blonde dude, blue eyes. That's kind of the stereotype. And so they found each other on social media, just like looking for other people who had like kind of similar experiences of being like the only Black people in the lineup. And, that kind of snowballed into this thing where they started this Instagram account that shows like other surfers of color in a narrative that's not just like, because the other typical narrative that we see is like the white savior, where it's like, some white folks like pushing Black kids into waves in some foreign country, which is like awesome and like good on them for sure. But, it doesn't really like represent like the surf experience of these women. So, they formed this group and started this Instagram page, and they just, released a video called See Us Now, which is really cool. But yeah, they were involved in that protest and a bunch of other ones. And it's just like a really unique thing in surfing. And I think that it's just like, it's awesome what they're doing. And I think that it's helpful to surfing to like see an example of kind of more diverse groups of people participating.
Fucking oath. Well said, Todd Prod.
Yeah, I just backing that up, like I always say this about women surfing, any sort of like surfing that's going on out there that in some way doesn't sort of live up to this, not the standard, but, the world that is controlled by what surfing has become, which is predominantly a white, pretty privileged sort of space to be in.
White boys.
But you give people the opportunity to get out in the water, have some fun, and then the rest of the opportunities that come with that, especially even just sort of like showcasing their talents, their enjoyment, all the same things that we all get out of it. Well, then that comes, it just adds more sort of momentum to what they're doing, and they feel more a part of it all. So I think that's absolutely crucial. Good one, Todd.
It's kind of like a nice thing, because I think as surfers, like so often everyone's trying to like put out the exact opposite vibe, which is like, we don't want anyone else surfing. Like no one new is welcome. Like you see like surfing sucks, don't try it, bumper stickers like all over California. But it's interesting, like I did an interview with them for this new issue, and it just kind of flips that on its head. You realize that like, so often we're kind of caught up in like the petty little dramas of like us wanting more waves at our local break. And yeah, I don't know. It's just cool to like look at it from like a different lens and being like, it's rad to like include different people in this thing.
Yeah, it can bring so much enjoyment and catharsis to so many different lives, particularly troubled lives. So, that's always a good thing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Now, Shed Sessions 3 is back. Todd Prod, tell us a bit about Shed Sessions. Did I say Shred Sessions? I meant to say Shed Sessions. Yeah, tell us a bit about that for the uninitiated.
It's almost impossible to say without saying shred sessions. But yeah, so I don't know if you guys have seen like any of the first or earlier seasons, but
yeah,
basically we are very blessed. Sorry, what was that?
I said, yeah, they're mental. I have. This lag's fucking rooted.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, Bird Huffman, he's the man. Like, we're so lucky that the surfer offices are down here in Southern California and San Diego, like really close to Bird's Shed, which is just this like living, it's like a Sistine Chapel of surfboards. It's like a living library. And he's so rad. Like he's been collecting these boards for decades, and he lets us come in there and just pick one off the wall and take it for a spin. And there's like pieces of the history in there and just the trippiest, like, design ideas that worked, design ideas that didn't work, but are like dope to check out anyway. And Yeah, so we've done it like a couple different ways. Like last season, we did it based on different surf zones, where we'd go to like Santa Cruz or San Clemente and try to like bring boards that had history like in those areas back up there to have the local surfers ride. But this one, you know, it's like we're trying to do kind of like a more minimalist version with like COVID and all, you know, everything that's going on here to kind of keep it simple and socially distant. And so we're just doing like one surfer, one board, where they're just going in there and birds just picking out like the trippiest, like weirdest thing for them to get on and taking it for a spin. So the first one is with Dylan Graves, and he's riding like, it's like a 70 fin that like has like it's like a full deck grip, and it's bright purple. But he said that the deck grip doesn't actually work. He was just like sliding around on it. But I mean, it's just the trippiest friggin' board you've ever seen. And yeah, you know, so we're just like pumped to see a lot more of that.
Yeah, mental series.
Sounds like your board. Surfcore.
Yeah, it looks like Trigger's board over there, actually. But yeah, mental. Fun zone.
And the final bit of news out of Murica. Marine Layer looks like it might be on the road back. I mean, yeah, what a crazy thing. Eh? That was like such a groundbreaking piece of web fodder for a lot of people. Wade, I'm sure Marine Layer left a mark on you, mate.
Yeah, I loved Marine Layer. Everything Dane does is good, basically. So the fact that he's bringing out constant content again just makes everyone happy. So yeah, I'm psyched that's back. That was just like everyone waited for them. He's back. It's so cool.
What about you, Surfcore? Is it just a bit too after your time to enjoy Marine Layer? Bit too digital?
I remember because when was it? It was like 2008 and stuff. So I was still definitely a grom then. It was so iconic. I remember like you'd like see all your mates and they say like, "Oh, did you watch the latest Dane clip?" And I'm like, what the fuck's up with the music? But like there was fucking surfing was unbelievable. Some of the boards were a bit sus, but yeah, it was fucking pretty iconic. He's such a powerhouse.
I like his taste in music. I think it shows that he's looking.
Yeah, tripped out weird jazzy instrumentals and like all kinds of weird stuff, psychedelic pop. Reynolds was the guy who put me on to the Velvet Underground, Charles Bukowski and John Pohnpei. Pohnpei, I think, the writer. He's a cultured lad. Old Reynolds. What do you reckon?
Surfcore, you're probably a bigger fan of Dane in like the Young Guns era, right? When he was riding 6.2s.
Yeah, the real skinny Dane. Nah, I'm more of a fan of like XL Dane, like the big like chunk, just like moving water real good. Like, like I've watched all the new clips. It's so insane, like to see like, because he just looks like any old dad that surfs, you know, D-bar. Like he just looks like a fucking mince pie with legs and fucking belts the shit out of it. It's so sick. It's way more respectable than like looking like an elite athlete and kind of being a bit gangly. So yeah, I'm back in this era for sure.
Yeah, it's like full dad strength or something. Yeah, he carries it well. I think his style's only getting better actually.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, it's pretty like. It's funny the timing, because he rolled this thing out, which is reminiscent of like 2010, at a time where everyone probably really misses 2010.
Yeah,
like
he's got that
before things like pandemics.
Yeah, he's always a cutter. He's like, you know, it's not till you have the benefit of hindsight that you realise how ahead of everyone else he is. He's just got that kind of fucking. There's definitely that. You know, the Velvet Underground thing you mentioned, that whole Warholian, just do anything and call it art. And just not, but there's intelligence behind it.
Yeah.
There's definitely something going on there. Like he's not just, you know, fucking making art for the art's sake. Like there's a lot of creativity and effort going into what he actually makes.
Yeah, and what's the feeling about Dane's career over in the States? You know, he was basically the most talented surfer of his generation and kind of drifted off into obscurity, never really did that well on the world tour. We see bits and bobs out of him, you know, various bits of web content. But yeah, how's the feeling over there about how his career ultimately panned out?
I mean, at least here in California, I feel like he's like kind of like the embodiment of like all of like the core California surf values. Like the fact that he didn't like do well on the tour and he left the tour, like definitely makes him more iconic, I think, at least in like American surf culture. And because I mean, like, it's definitely, you know, like a lifestyle or an art form or whatever, first here in a sport, distant second, if not third. I don't even know what the second thing
What's
would
second?
be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, like, I would say that, you know, it was a bummer when Marine Layer petered out the first time. And now that it's back, it's almost like, I don't know, like Dane seems like the most relevant surfer in the world again, which is kind of crazy.
I love that. I reckon he's just always, you know, it doesn't matter what his career's doing. He's a guy who drops a clip and you want to watch it.
Oh, you're tuning in.
He just absolutely fucking cleavers waves in half. I don't know if anyone has more power just a pure, like in a smaller space. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like he doesn't have to wind up or anything. He just comes off the bottom and so deep. And then when he fucking buries it, it's just a mess. He just destroys it. Fucking amazing, man. What a surfer. Fucking love it.
Yeah, you know, the other thing is that, like, obviously he surfs incredible, but, like, the dude actually writes, like, very well. Like, I don't know if you guys saw what he posted today. It's kind of like it's, you know, he kind of shared his thoughts on everything that's going on with the, you know, the racial justice revolution in America and police brutality, but then also kind of like the role of social media and like the spread of misinformation. And it's funny, I was like, no one else in surfing is really like even talking about this. And it's like, it's not like an easy thing to talk about. Like he clearly had to like do some research to even be able to like have that conversation. And
Give us the gist,
like,
Todd.
there's not really like a lot of people in surfing who are talking about this moment in that way.
Give us the gist. Was he saying burn it all to the ground, or was he saying, you know, stick flowers in the rifles of the National Guard? What was his take?
Something kind of right in the middle. I don't know. You should give it a read. I don't want to like pull anything out of context, but I mean, it's like a pretty balanced assessment of the fact that like, obviously there's horrible shit happening in America that needs to change, but then, you know, he can kind of empathize with, I don't know, like people who come at it from another angle. Definitely anti-racism, which is what matters.
Mental. On your DR. Well, Todd Prod, thanks, mate, for joining us for our inaugural segment of Murica!
Fuck yeah! Coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah, America! Fuck yeah!
Welcome, Swellians, to our semi-new regular column / topic / what segment?
I don't know.
Anyway, it is time for Ain't That Swell's Team of the Week.
Ain't That Swell's Team of the Week.
Team of the Week? Who we got this week, Vaughn?
This week, the Ain't That Swell Team of the Week, Smithy, is none other than the mighty, the indefatigable, the absolutely world-saving Asparagus.
Ah!
The Asparagus, mate.
The Asparagus,
Yeah.
I know them well.
Boys, the Asparagus.
Asparagus. They said you'd never make it. Surfing's more your game, and your golf is too erratic. You'd better stick to riding waves. They said you'd never make it. It seems their words were true. It must have been heartbreaking when you knew what you could do. They said you'd never make it. You finally came through. For all of you who made it, this song's made for you. Made for you. This one's made for you. You've made it through, and this one's made for you.
Named after the native Australian seaweed with the potential to actually reverse carbon emissions, this is all about getting rid of the stink. There's too much stink going on, Smithy.
Oh, I'm sick of the stink. I mean, the only stink I like to see is in a Fibros versus Silvertails 1975.
Oh, you little rip in!
Bit of a Les Boyd stink
Love
on
it.
the beak.
Yeah, the whole planet has just been in a perpetual state of stink since 2020 started. So I want to reverse the stink. And my first choice for this team, running it up, straight up the middle, in the forwards.
Straight up the guts.
Is Sammy Elsom. Now, Sammy Elsom is a designer. You might be familiar with him, Surfcore. He designed, famously, Kelly Slater and Dane Reynolds and I think Jeremy Flores and maybe even, who else was of that era? I'm trying to think. Can't think of anyone off the top of my head.
Quickie team, Fred Patash.
Quickie team's ASP banquet tuxedos one year.
Fuck.
It was a random connection, but I'm throwing it out there. And they looked great, by the way. They fucking looked $1 million. Anyway, he fitted him out. He's a tailor. He's a wonderful fella. But he is going to be farming this Asparagus Assist seaweed in Tassie. And I caught a podcast with him and, world climate activist and professor Tim Flannery, which was just incredibly Flano, yeah, Flano as he's known on Ain't That Swell.
Kidding me?
And it was amazing. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to flick over to a little chat with Sammy earlier.
Mad.
So Sam, you've set up this company called Sea Forest. You're focused on growing the native Australian seaweed Asparagus that can do two things. One, it can sequester carbon dioxide, but when fed to cows and sheep, it can reduce their methane emissions. Can you explain this and how it happens?
Sure. Well, as Tim said, the seaweed grows through photosynthesis and absorbs CO2 in the process. And the carbon is the seaweed is made up of about 40% carbon. And so 40%, therefore, of the biomass that we harvest is, in fact, carbon dioxide or carbon that's sequestered. And then when we dry the seaweed and feed it to cattle in a dose of about 0.2% of their diet, so very much like a small vitamin C tablet in the morning, if you like, and that abates up to 99% the methane production. And that's really significant because methane obviously makes up around 16% of our global anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions. So, and it does so by intercepting with vitamin B12 in the final stages of digestion in the rumen, and it converts that otherwise expelled emissions into energy that the cow or sheep uses to grow. So it actually, in abating methane, it actually increases productivity, which is the exciting thing about the seaweed, is that we have this climate change solution or positive environmental impact, but at the same time we have increased profitability for farmers. So that's a really exciting element.
And Sam, the CSIRO has been trialling feeding this seaweed to cattle, haven't they? What have they found?
Yeah, so they kind of stumbled on this by accident, but James Cook University and Meat and Livestock Australia and the CSIRO, as you mentioned, have been researching this seaweed over 7 years, and they fed over 35 strains of seaweed to cattle to see which was going to be the most potent solution. And yes, Asparagus was deemed to be that solution, and they've done trials on sheep and cattle, beef cattle and dairy cattle, all with really promising results.
What you've just heard is part of an interview that screens in full on the Climate Council Facebook page. Chaired by Lisa Upton, features Dr. Tim Flannery and Sam Elsom talking about the benefits of asparagus.
So there you go, boys. Seaweed can save the world. We are getting rid of the stink. We're going to store that fucking carbon in these plants, bury it under the ocean, forget it even happened.
Who knew seaweed farming was could both save the world and be a prosperous business? I mean, the last I'd seen of it was the housewives of Sumbawa there collecting it on the beaches and harvesting seaweed, turning into facial products, sold all around the world for a couple of cents a day. It was hard yakka, but Sammy Elsom's doing it in tailored suits.
That's right. And Tim Flannery, Surfcore.
My dad does. I've met him once, but They did like an Indo boat trip, not like a surfing one, like checking out coral reefs and shit. My dad's hell into ornithology, like birds and stuff. So, yeah.
What's his favourite bird?
Wandering albatross.
Wait.
Yeah.
So your dad went on an Indo boat trip to look at birds?
Nah, to look at coral and
Right.
to look at I guess like sea life up there.
Well, he's not alone. I've seen a few, South African businessmen and whatnot going on a Indo boat trip to get a close-up look at some coral too. You know what I'm saying?
Anyway, look, huge props to Sammy. What he's doing is huge, and if you want to find out more, we'll whack a link on the Facebook so you can get stuck into the Asparagus team captain and what he's up to.
Well
Smithy, who
played.
you got?
I've got at number 2, Caroline Marks's backside hacky sack attack. Have you seen a better backhand than this? Asks Stab Magazine. You had a squiz at this thing, Vaughn? You seen her? I think
haven't, but I
it's
feel
looks like
like-
Tressel's rights.
We're catching up. Are we going to watch it right now? Let's have a squiz at it. But I feel like it's been 3 episodes since we last talked about Caroline Marks's backhand, so we're due. We're due. We're well overdue. I think potential world champ if the tour ever happens ever again.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm talking like when it's back.
She's out of control. Her wingspan's pretty out of control in that though. Like she does full aeroplane arms into like some of the turns, but I reckon it looks sick sometimes.
Have you seen where her leading arm winds up when she's actually come off the bottom? Like as soon as she sort of starts heading vertical, have you seen where her leading arm winds up? It's like
behind
so
her.
far around that she's almost scratching her the other shoulder. She winds it, mate.
Yeah.
What do you think, Goodsy? What do you think of the
She whacks it. She's
backside
so good.
technique? How do you do good backside re-entries? How do you squirt the tail like that?
Wow.
I haven't ever done one that powerful.
She's such a
She's
nug.
really good. She surfs really good. She's got timing.
See, watch this. Watch the leading hand. Ready? Look. See how far around it goes? She's really properly coiling up there.
Just absolutely dutzing it into the heavens. Are you kidding me? Yeah, the tempo, as you said, Goodsy. It's up, down. Reminiscent of Owen Wright, the great backside pendulum swinging meat axe.
Which part of his body is the pendulum? That's what I want to know.
Good question.
I think the balls are underrated as a pendulum. Everyone talks about the dong, but I think it's actually all in the figs. I reckon that's where you've got a little bit more give, a little bit more time for the whiplash to happen. Just saying.
Now, Stabs asked, have you seen a better backhand? Well, maybe this chick. This is Vaheen Fierro. Spicy name and a spicy talent from French Polynesia. As we can see, knifing one backside. I mean, Tahiti's on a fucking roll at the moment. They're just producing so much talent. Admittedly, it's all of the kind of slab riding variety who, it doesn't necessarily translate well to the WQS and grovelly beach breaks of the world, nor on the WCT necessarily. But this chick is a protege of Michelle Perez. And, just owning it. Psycho pig dog style.
Yeah, I think I saw her surf in the World Juniors in Taiwan. Was that last year? Yeah. So, clearly got game, keeping up with the best of the rest from the rest of the planet. It's just so hard to get a beat or a read on, like, what the surf world's going to look like. I mean, we're heading to a place of like, just being stuck at home for quite some time. I think Brazil just reported their 1,000,000th case of COVID.
Fuck.
So, I mean, don't quote me on that number. I haven't done any research, but someone told me at dinner the other night. I just believed.
By the time this comes out.
But,
surely.
I mean, there's a second spike in Melbourne as we speak. It's hard to see a world tour kicking off. I mean, this year I think is a write-off, 100%.
Do you reckon this show will age well, considering we're sitting about 30 centimetres apart and breathing, sharing microphones, breathing down each other's neck?
Well, we've all been tested, thankfully, Smithy.
I never got tested.
Well, that's the testing kit right there, isn't it? Anyway, mate, look, I think Carolyn Marks backhand, best on tour, best of any female ever. That's my call.
Yeah, backing it.
Hard to argue.
Yeah, she's really good.
Surfcore
start was good.
Who are you bringing in
Oh,
to
yeah.
the mighty Asparagus Assist? It's going to be a hell of a song to write.
Yeah, I've got a nomination for the junior division.
Team of the week.
More of a utility player, 19-year-old Charger, Ollie Henry. He's from the West. He's been kicking down some crim-safe security doors in his new clip, Shelf Isolation. Yeah, he's barely glazed a knuckle on the blue light disco dance floor, but he's fucking stuffing the chook out at the box and he's fucking letting go of the rope at the right. He's a fucking lord. He's kind of like a core man's Jack Robbo. Instead of, having nutritionists and, sort of worrying about training and stuff, he just packs his jet ski full of fucking fruit roll-ups and chalky milks and gets amongst it. And, instead of betting a fucking Hawaiian princess, he's chosen to be swiping right on Tinder on 2% battery during a fucking pandemic. So, I'm really backing him. He's young, he's toey, he can't wet a rail to save his life, but he makes up for it in his fucking enthusiasm for waves of moral consequences, you guys say. That 9+ from the core, backing him.
Yeah, he's got to stay.
Yeah,
that's huge. Thanks for the insights there, Goodsy. Who are you bringing into this wonderful team of the week? The Ain't That Swell team of the week.
Team of the week.
Jai Glinderman.
Oh, the Glinderman.
He's
know him well.
I would nominate him. I've watched that kid surf for a couple of years now at the point, and he just is natural. He has something that I haven't seen in a young kid in a long time, with his style and stuff. And then that last swell, I saw him surf some bigger waves and stuff, which I hadn't really got the chance to. And some of the waves I saw him knife at and stuff was pretty crazy, and it was I don't know, just cemented that like what my initial thoughts about when I first saw him catch a wave. I was like, this kid's something special, and through that swell, I think he's going to do some really cool things.
Yeah. We almost
and
threw
he's got
him
a good
in.
head on his shoulder.
I think we almost threw him in the pangolins. The
I
very
think he
first
made the
ever.
pangolins.
He was
making back-to-back starts in the ATS team.
Wow, huge.
No, that fucking latest clip though is so insane.
It's
and,
great, isn't it?
He's literally like my favorite current surfer. Like of all, like watching his style, like it's how I'd want to surf. And he's riding kind of longer boards, and he's just fucking got real good flow. And that's all you really want. He doesn't really do airs too, which is sick because I don't do airs either. But I could if I
airs
wanted
are
to.
shit.
Striking a reach vein of Surfcore era form, Jai Glinderman.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
rules.
Well played, Jai.
Yeah, mate.
And a shout out also to the condos. I can't remember what Zach's little brother, his name is.
Luke?
Is it Luke?
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke and Zach. They've been putting in during
Yeah.
those last run of swells. And
Whacking
also when we were talking about Jai and that first, that first sort of breakthrough performance at Big Cloudies, I think Luke was there too with him, packing the big ones. So good to see some local groms.
Yeah, Pig can
Putting it
cut
in.
out a fin system too, really clean. He's nice. He does the fin systems up at the Kettleish Lennox surfboard.
Oh yeah, he's fully like up in the glass division. Yeah.
Oh, mental.
Such a
Huffing
lord.
fumes on you. That's the coal furnace of surfing right there.
Yeah, one of the last great factories, that one.
Yeah, it's so sick.
Now, speaking of young Tahitian nutters, Vaheen Fierro being the female version, I want to throw it to, the young Tahitian nutters. If I want a front row, Vaughan, I want them packing down. I want them to be young Tahitian nutters. Have you seen this thing? Matahydro packs at Kaiki Shorebreak.
Oh yeah, that clip's fucked.
kidding me?
I
Well,
thought it
across
was pipe, but apparently it's the shorey.
Yeah, it just keeps on keeping on. That thing keeps on standing up. I mean, you watch one of them days go down at Kaiki. I remember I had a day down there watching, I think it was JOB's like soft top comp down there. It fucking blew my mind. I obviously grew up watching Bigger Wednesday, Snuff, Safidum, these kinds of films, watching Clark Little, BI, and even the Boogers like dropping into triple stepping Waimea Shorebreak slabs. And then I guess what they're doing now at Kaiki Shorebreak is that it's the 2.0 version of that shit. It's fucking lunacy. I mean, what happened to the guy's surfboard? It must have been a trillion fractals, Warners.
All the Tahiti stuff going on right now is just so off the wall. And they must be loving it. That's good karma, right? Sort of feel the same for the... Oh, my God. What is this? Oh.
Yeah, fuck that.
What? Oh, my goodness.
That's like, it's out of screen. It's not even the screen more. What is that, 20 foot? It's fucking bizarre.
That is packing it. Look at the sand there. Oh, my God.
Old mate in the foreground's absolutely in a stupor. He doesn't know what he's seen. But, I mean, and just on that, I don't want to stop with Matahai Drolet. Yes, carry on, Vaughn.
Oh, I was just going to say, I've swum in that shorey when it's 2-3 foot, and it is so brutal. It is so full-blown detonating. Like, you can come up with a sand enema that, you know, is scratching the back of your eyes. It is so full-on.
I got pinned in doggy there once.
You got put in Snoop by Keiki?
Properly injected.
Like a 3-footer at least. Yeah.
It's just like, it's scary. Like, if you're out there and it's sort of 3 foot and you're copping a few beatings, and all of a sudden, you know, like you know how it happens in Hawaii, like a rogue 6-footer will come in and you kind of don't know where to go. You're just like, oh, God. Just get on your hands and knees, Goodsy?
Now, a bit about Matahai Drolet. Obviously, the brother of Manoa Drolet, who you mentioned, Wado, the OG Chopes master, the master of the silk in the Pacific juice. Matahai was dispatched to boarding school as a teenager, Vaughn, so he could only surf on the weekends, couldn't surf during weekdays. I guess that explains he's got a bit of a kind of, I don't want to say malformed, but just a bit of a gangly style. Still manages to fucking navigate some psycho Pacific cones. But this is what Tim McKenna had to say about him. Tim McKenna is the kind of Aussie expat, Chopes-based lensman. The last few years when it was over 10 to 12 feet, you wouldn't see many locals out there and definitely no kids. But now with Matahai Drolet's house right there, they can take a boat out there and there's a house for them to hang out at, and they're kind of taking back the break. In the past, any pro could come and take whatever wave, but now these grommets are there with the best of them and they will take the big ones. So Matahai, and then his offsider, Mataho, Tetapata. I mean, this guy's like the underground call order Chopes. He's out there on his yellow board, you know, left behind by some pro, and you know, he's just wearing fucking paint-stained board shorts and packing 10 to 12 foot fucking. He has one of the great Chope shots of the last 10 years, and unsponsored on a yellow board in fucking hand-me-down board shorts. Are you kidding me? But this is what Matahai has to say about Mataho. He's one of my best friends, probably the guy who makes me push my limit the most, because he's charging, he's getting the good ones, and it makes me want to get more. He's way stronger than me. He can get bigger ones. Now, have a squeeze at this. I think you know the photo, but you probably don't know that it's Mataho in it.
Yeah, I love this. I love seeing, you know, the locals reclaiming the wave that, you know, I mean, they've been inspired by every performance that's gone on out there. So, you know, I think that, as you were saying, when you're staying at the end of the road, you're generally staying with families. So all the best surfers in the world have probably at some point been like uncles to these kids. And so it's not so much as a reclaim as it is like just the natural progression that they're going to paddle out there and they're going to want to surf their home break better than anyone who's coming in after. Yeah. Wow, that is just incredible.
That's a fucking orb of wave.
Look at that thing.
Who's the cunt on the inside, duck diving?
I think that's a photo.
Tim Jones, I think.
Tim Jones.
Look at the bend in it. Wow.
Shout out to the great Waimea Shorey Frogman.
Yeah.
I mean, just doing it for the love. It's fucking baffling.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So, I mean, yeah.
Wouldn't you love that, though? If you could do that?
Yeah,
It's
I mean.
so cool to see those kids coming up in a gang. That's sick. Because you always, like, have heard... You've seen a few performers like Manoa and Raymana and that sort of stand alone with the best guys. So if a gang comes through, that's going to be so good.
Yeah, well, there is a gang, as you mentioned, and they're taking it back. And a few of the other names to keep an eye out for. Just a bit more about Mataho, because he's that fucking classic. So this is what Tim had to say about him. You're out there shooting for the whole day on these big toe swells waiting for toe sets, and at the end of the day, he paddles out and paddles the biggest wave of the day, drops from the sky, pulls in and makes it. 2 swells in a row now, he's done that. He's the son of a local fisherman and with a mother who works at the harbour. And he only started surfing 4 years before that photo was taken. Are you fucking kidding me? That's fucked up. Yeah, and this is what Matahai says about him. It was difficult because he not have a board in the beginning. He borrow board. He trained, and we surf every weekend because we have school in the week. And now he's one of my best friends and probably the guy who makes me push my limit the most because he's charging. So no access to a jet ski, no history of surfing in his family. Only able to surf on the weekends because he's got school. And that's what he's doing 4 years after he started surfing. Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, cut that 4 years down into how much surfing he's actually doing. And it's probably not even 6 months compared to the rest of us. Brutal.
The mind boggles, man. Chopes is, it's a fucking bizarre place. Like, I guess the skill set surfers have there is so specific to that wave. And it's just strange, that it's creating like a bizarre anomaly within the surfing species. Kind of Darwinian convergent evolution of bizarre three-eyed tube pigs form.
Yeah, well, I guess the same sort of thing happened at Chippies a few years ago, where you've got guys who are just so good at surfing that wave, and it's not like they can't surf anywhere else, but it just sort of becomes this. I don't know. It's just this understanding that and comfort that can only come from just taking it on every time it's monster, and they're surfing it. They're not surfing it when it's perfect when they're grommets. They're going out there on days where it's absolute mayhem and awful, and that's when you really get to know the mood of the joint. And then when it's clean, you can kind of toy with it a bit more, I think. That's what's going on with these guys.
It's crazy that a guy like Mataho can get to the level he got to, considering, spending so little time in the water. And then you've got guys like Philippe Toledo, who's fucking one of the absolute most purebred pedigree surf talents on the planet. Cannot get barreled out there to save his life on a solid day. It's got him absolutely just rattled. It's bizarre, isn't it?
It is.
It's all pure psychology, really.
Yeah.
Toledo, you'd think, has the ability to get fucking spat out of a giant orb.
Yeah, that's a really tricky one to read, man. All I can think of is we had a grom in our hometown who started really late, wasn't really allowed to surf in the Arvos because his mum wouldn't let him and all that sort of stuff. And by the time he sort of got old enough to have his own way and go surfing, he felt like he was so far behind the rest of us that he just overtook us in months. Like his progression was so fast because we were already, so in our little zones and our routines, and he was just so much hungrier to just try and get that, just catch up. It was a full drive thing. And maybe that's sort of what's happening here.
A couple other quick names to be aware of from the end of the road, the children from the end of the road. Coley Vast.
Epic.
You caught much of this dude, Wado?
Yeah, I've seen all this stuff that has been coming out of Tahiti with this new wave of crazy kids. It's amazing to watch. I miss that place because, as we spoke earlier, I haven't been back there since the Billabong days, pretty much, just through not being able to. So, I miss the place, and I'm tripping on how much these guys are taking over and how late they're taking off. They're paddling stuff that people would have towed easily.
And these kids, there wasn't even a young crew. Was there a crew coming up that you saw when you were there back then?
Not so much. It was more like late teens, early 20s, kind of like Hiari Williams and Michelle and
Hiratera Tunufa.
Yeah. Hira was a bit older, but there wasn't like a gang of like little kids like you see. I think it's like catching up to in a Hawaii evolution of surfing now, where like you see that happen over there, where there's kids at 16 doing grown man shit, and I feel like that's happening in Tahiti now.
Classic, man. Tahiti's always had world-class representatives sort of as part of the scene, right back to sort of Arsene Hairho. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
And Poto, of course. But these guys were not just good surfers. Like Poto won a World Amateur Junior title. Hero won a World Amateur Junior title as well. And Then you've got Drolle. He was on tour for a year or two there. So it's right there, man. There's no sort of weakness in the armour. I think the one thing that always sort of lifts your country is what you mentioned before, that group mentality. And when you've got 4 or 5 kids with the same sort of talent level, all wanting to beat the shit out of each other, then you see things lift pretty mentally. But that Corley Vast, he was in the Taiwan World Juniors that I went to as well, and he pretty sure if he wasn't punching himself in the head, he was punching the shit out of his board. He wants to be, up there. He wants to sort of make it as a big time pro, I think.
Let's hope he doesn't get into the passion pop. He makes it.
And this is the youngest product from the end of the road. This is Gilbert Tiavi, 14 years old.
Oh, well, now I'm just feeling shithouse, Smithy.
That's so rattling. It's so rattling when you see a kid that hasn't even been alive as long as you have been surf so much better than you.
Yeah.
It's so rattling.
And they kind of have the perfect training ground there, don't they? Just the Chopes Lagoon wave, that little kind of A-frame beachy on the inside. It's hilarious that you can grow up surfing just a glorified reef form, really, and then graduate to the fuck. And it's, what is the Chopes Lagoon's like? Maximum 3 to 4 foot. It's typically 2 foot, and then they paddle out the back and get a 10 to 12 foot Pacific ore.
Yeah, I'll never forget the most demoralising feeling I've ever had was paddling out a pipeline, fully doing the deep breaths on the beach and just, here we go, all right, yeah, and just, paddling out and just could feel the pins and needles in my feet, Smithy, and managed to get out without duck diving. I was just paddling towards the lineup and looking at all the people. And it was only once I sort of sat in the lineup and took a look around and saw this sort of pregnant woman sitting next to me on one side and a 13-year-old kid on the other. And then there was, a couple of little girl bodyboarders who'd slipped out there. I was going, what the fuck is going on around here? I just felt like such a fraud. And I couldn't get rid of the nervous energy, though. Maybe just because, pipeline is just, it gets into your bones no matter what. But yeah. Fuck, it was a trippy feeling because there was bombs coming through. When I say bombs, 6 foot Oz, a 6 foot swell here. It's so different though. A 6 foot swell here is just like victory at sea. Like all the elements are sort of against you. Whereas over there, you can slip out without even duck diving, and Beach Park might not even be breaking on 6 foot day pipe. It's weird. It feels shit. Still feels shit when you're scared out there.
Team of the week.
Oh, hey, finally, or maybe not finally, I'm going to just throw out as team captain of the what are they called again? Asparagus. Asparagus is Laura Macaulay. Have you copped that?
Daughter of the great Dave.
She's the first woman to surf the right. It is hectic. Oh, my goodness. So, yeah, I mean... I don't know how long it's been getting planned for. I actually saw it on mainstream TV without the volume for an ad for 60 Minutes or something, or on the news, but it was in between the footy, so I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention, but fucking packing it, and packing serious, big ones out there. And I've been so, caught up and blown away by Laura Enover, what she's done. And I think Paige Arms and a few of the other big...
That tunnel vision. You paid no attention to young Laura McCall.
This is fully, say it with me like, Wim Hof. Fully heavy. I'll see if I can find it for you, Smithy, but what do you make of this? Like, what does it say to you when you're seeing this sort of performance and this sort of like glass ceiling shattering... fucking epicness.
I'm glad you brought it up because we've been waiting a while for a bona fide, no frills female tube pig or tube so to be politically correct, I guess. But there hasn't been that female. I mean, Kiala Keneally, I guess, is probably the closest thing to it, but just that, slab raised tube pig, surfing, it's manageable. I think women surfing, wow, that is an
respect
angry egg of ocean. But yeah, we haven't seen yet just the tube addict chick surfer, right?
I think Laura really is sort of like, that's why her film and the timing of it was just so good, Because you were going, this is a full commitment. This is like one track mind, hunting the cone and doing it in the really the heaviest possible scenarios.
But, you know, it hasn't necessarily come naturally for her. She's grown up on the northern beaches. She's had to work at it. So I'm kind of waiting for that, Vahine, Fierro, a Laura McCauley, someone who grows up at West Oz or Tahiti where there is slabs and waves of mortal
You're
conquence.
looking for a female camel. That's what you're waiting for.
Female Russ Björk.
What do you call a female camel? Does it have a name? Has it got
a camel toe, perhaps?
Oh, yes. Oh, you got me with that one.
Yes, nothing like a bit of misogynism to get Vaughan all riled up.
You just caught me off guard. I wasn't not even heading there at all. Well played, Smithy. Anyway, Laura, you are the captain coach of the Asparagus, and we are frothing.
Absolutely,
on the team of the week. Well played.
But, Vaughan, I believe there's a couple of substitutes. Perhaps, I don't know, I feel like Kai Lenny should surely get a spot in the starting lineup.
Well, he's getting a spot because he looked to Wade Goodall and Dylan Longbottom as the trailblazers of strapped toats.
How does it feel, Wade? How does it feel to be the influencer, the hashtag influencer of Kai Lenny?
I think his next big trick is the passion pop at Nazare. That's what I've heard is next on the cards.
A toe-out passion pop? How's he going to do the straps? You'll figure out a way. He's Kai fucking Lenny.
He's such an odd figure in surfing. He exists in his own level. He is son of lead. That's the world he inhabits. It's not of this world. It's a different realm, Surfcore.
Yeah.
Take me through it.
Oh, Kai Lenny's got to go. He fucking sucks. Like the foiling and like the kiteboards and like his fucking like YouTube presence is just, it's like pissing in the face of Powley. Like it's just so fucking turbo and like overly positive. Yeah, I'm not. He's on the bench.
Come on, you're not backing it on behalf of... what about Biggest Wednesday? What about the Strapped crew? These are roughly in your tenure, aren't they?
Yeah, but
you can't give them a pass on that.
They're fucking lords. They're like sinking tins and fucking headbutting fucking chalk all weekend.
Well, you don't know. Lenny might be on the P. You don't know.
I reckon he's on the roids. But, yeah, no, I don't like him.
What about you, Goodsy? What about the literally the James Labrador 1990... backside 360 chop hop on a 50-footer at Nazare?
Yeah, I back jumps in huge waves. That's really cool. Like me and Laurie have looked at that shippy step for years to do something off, and I went there and pulled out of that goal.
Wow, what were you thinking?
It was just too scary.
Chop up to correction to mortal conquence.
Like a little shifty off.
Like you see them starting to do stuff. They're doing like Mikey Brennan and stuff. Will do a little lean off it or something, but I don't know. Just coming from a jump background, I was like, oh, when I go there, I want to like try something off the kicker and then get pitted. But then once I tried it, I surfed there. I was like, fuck, I couldn't do it because I couldn't get speed going down the first bit. Because I don't know the line yet. So to get enough speed to project off that step properly, I couldn't work it out. So I was just like kind of quitting. But
what about instead of coming down it, towing at it?
Doing like a roundhouse.
Just get whipped in from the front, straight. I mean, the ski driver's going to have to probably...
Just go straight up into the...
Well, put it this way. He's going to have to sacrifice himself and ski for this trick. But what if you just like did a little toe out at the 1-footer on the inside as it's just starting to purl? Little front side air rev or something off it?
I don't know.
Into the pit.
We were thinking more like a flip or something or like a full spin. But I don't know. I back anyone that wants to tow into giant waves and do shit. Like we're seeing people paddle into the craziest waves that are breaking. So if you're towing in, you might as well be trying choppies and shit, I think. Yeah. I'm back in that movement. Like I hope more people get involved and try and jumps on huge waves because like it was always a thing I thought of, but never even tried. And now my legs are carcass, so I would never try it. But I'm hoping people get super into it.
And what about...
turns into like big mountain snowboarding at that point.
It's starting to go there though too, because the big pow calves that Kyle Lenny's doing at Jaws, like top to bottom, are pretty skits. But I know that you can't pay them because all the other crimes.
Who was that? Who was that older?
Crimes.
No, I backed the chop hop he did at Nazareth. Who was that? Lord, was it Randy Rarick that used to do like backies strapped in like off like outer log cabins and stuff?
Rush Randall.
Yeah, Rush Randall. Yeah, he's the Lord. Yeah. He's iconic.
Speaking of experimental toe exploits, I mean, you mentioned you'd back almost anything in that space, Wade. What about towing in with the help of a helicopter on a clubby rescue board? That's that's Nutrigrain's latest.
The speed was just outrageous.
I started wondering, what has Georgia got us into here?
No, that's fine.
Copped a couple of huge beatings.
Oh no, Georgia's gone down. Someone get in there.
So I had a breakout season last year. It was a pretty incredible achievement winning the Triple Crown, but I need to look for something more and put myself through something that I've never been through before, and this was the new goal.
She's so full of confidence after this season she's had and so determined to just do this insane idea, and I don't even know if it's possible.
Reached out to Bevy to help me along with this project. As he took on ship sterns last year, thought he'd be the perfect man for it.
George's idea is crazy. Not only is this a world first, but we're attempting it in these conditions in one of the most remote locations on the planet.
Latest adventure. This is progress, Vaughn. This is what surfing in 2020 looks like.
Oh my God.
That Lord towed shippies too on a fucking Nutrigrain.
Is that guy?
Yeah, it's that Lord. Yeah.
Georgia Miller and Matt Bevilacqua. You wonder, is he a relation to the great Claire Bevilacqua?
The
is he part of the Bevilacqua dynasty?
The great Claire Bevilacqua.
You reckon
Shout
Claire
out.
put him up to it?
I hope so. I hope so.
Was it the ultimate kind of passive-aggressive put down for a fucklewit clubby of a brother? Go, hey, you know what you'll finally get your respect in the surfing community? Is if you get out there on your clubby rescue board and whip in on the back of a jet ski into Pedro Brinker. You'll finally have their respect, Vaughn. And does he have their respect, Wade? Does Matt Bevilacqua have your respect?
No, I'm not backing.
You hear that,
no, I'm not backing helicopter nipper board towings at
back
all.
to the R&R, mate. Back to the R&R. Oh, it's Taj!
What's happened?
What's he got to say?
What has happened here? What is TB saying?
We need help and we need someone to guide us and show us the ropes, and Taj Bar is here with us.
Hello, guys.
He's just a wealth of knowledge and experience, and I'm so glad he's here.
Over the years, I've been to some wild surf destinations and I've seen some crazy stuff go down, but this is extreme. And these guys want to tow into a wave. Not only that, they want to tow in with a helicopter. It's insane.
Yeah,
it's insane. It's insane.
Well, they must
That's
have...
one word for it. How much did they pay you, TB? How much
should have done
they've
an
got the
acid
TV? I
drop out
can't
of
believe
it.
it.
Well, this is just, what is this as far as TB's career trajectory goes here, Surfcore?
No, I'm back in TV. He should have done an acid drop out of it onto the same wave like he did in
Now we're
Passion
talking.
Pop. That would have been iconic.
And focus that clubby board.
Maybe they didn't pay TB anything. They just gave him a bowl of Nutrigrain before that interview.
Oh, that is one funny clip.
Fucking crack that shit, eh?
Good find there. A final reserve is just, I'm going to give me mate Aussie a shout out here because he has been storing personal photos, the persos, POV shots on his GoPro, like just like the Asparagus stores CO2. He's been surfing his little home break down there at Broadwater, a town that is literally famous for having a sugar mill and also for being the last known spot where Jeremy Biles and Shane Herring were seen in the same place at the same time.
Wow, you mean to say they're the same person? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No. They were just seen outside the commercial hotel there, waiting for it to open, I think. But well done, Oz. Getting out there, getting it done. Store the persos, mate. Store the carbon.
The selfie king. I like what he's doing there. He's managed to incorporate all kinds of bric-a-brac and jettisoned goods.
Well, he's
from
doing a whole
St. Vincent de
series.
Paul's.
You can go on his website and buy a poster of all the different dolls he's taken into the tube.
What's the name of this series, Vaughn?
I don't know, but I know that he's got a full toy box full of goodies that he's going to try and get in the pit.
I mean, he's got all sorts of toys.
But so there's the Asparagus team, mate.
What a team it is.
Wonderful. Well played. Very well played. Question time. And don't forget, folks, Ain't That Swellians. If you haven't made a donation to Ain't That Swell and you want to hear more of this endless drivel,
Hear and watch now in 380 pixelated, good quality footage.
that's right. If you want to,
240,
you can,
140, 380.
what's that? The
720.
This frame speed.
Yeah.
Sound like
110,
Chris
240. Yeah, you can jump on our website, theswellians.com, or click the link in our bio if you want to make a $1 donation, $2, whatever. All right.
Oh, hold on. Since we've reached the question time, it would be remiss of me not to toast it in true ceremonial Swellian fashion by ripping a hot one.
Go, Smithy. All righto. Well, Smithy does his business. Let's get stuck into it. And Surfcore, the first question is for you, mate, from the Daily Grind. I would go and have a squeeze into his thing. Oh, yeah, he's got some game here. Look at this. Couple of good forehand hacks.
Oh.
And
nice drop wallet.
He's good, mate. Oh, followed by Neil Purchase Jr. and Margot. Wow. So look out.
Must be a Cabba lad.
Here we go. He says, what would it take for Surfcore to reveal his true identity? And he's got a multiple choice series of options here. A, Hero giving the QS another run. B, the Woozle ruling only boards over 6-0 with glass in fins can be ridden in competition. C, Wonder Jar 2. D, Billabong re-releasing Tagger Trunk campaign. Or E, other. All of the above.
Yeah, all of the above. Nah, pretty sure Gainey's kind of got Wonder Jar 2 popping off. Like, he's been filming heaps, blowing out every zone he goes to. But, he's making, like, Pulse 3, I guess, or Pulse 2002. But to reveal my identity, I'd have to see Hero get seated in a prime. That would be pretty mental. Then the balaclava comes up.
Well, the regional series is coming back. I mean, it's not out of the question.
Yeah.
If Shane Herring, Shane Holmes, Super Shane.
I love it.
Yeah, Shane
How
Werner
good is
too.
that? I can't wait for the regional tour to kick off. Hopefully
so
it's this
mental.
year, Smithy, if the Woozle can get this shit together, and run some events again.
It'd be great.
It's not really on them. It's
Bring
the
back
rest of the world,
surfing,
but-
Vaughn. More surfing.
Here we go. Blairo 111 with the donations and the funding coming in from the Swellians. Will Smithy and Vaughn now be able to run Roy and HG style commentary on Woozle events? Oh, pirate radio.
Well, you've tried it, Vaughn. The bad cast. What happened to the bad cast?
Oh, it just became boring when we had to get up at 4 a.m. to do it. I reckon there's a chance here, Smithy. I don't want to give too much away, but wheels are in motion, my friend. Wheels are in motion.
Phase two.
Okay.
Phase 2 begins. Swellian, stay tuned. Phase 2.
Phase 2 culture. For Wade, and this is from Seeves 108. I think it's Seeves. Chris Eves.
Private.
Evesy, private. Oh, you know he's a fucking filthy animal, this bloke. How does the mental scar tissue of 2 broken legs affect your mindset when attacking waves of mortal consequence? It's a good question, actually. Like, sometimes I guess when we think about your injuries in the past, you kind of, first question you ask is like, how do you feel doing airs again? But are the pins just all locked in and 100% confident in big surf where the impact zone could shatter them into a million pieces?
It's been 3 broken legs.
What?
Yeah. After 2 was fine, but this last one kind of cooked me a little bit.
What's wrong, mate? Have you not been drinking your milk? You got early onset osteoporosis? I mean, I maybe shouldn't be joking about that. Maybe you do.
Yeah, only time will tell. I think that's I copped a few years of like, drink more milk, and I'm like, yeah, fuck you.
Drink more milk. Try a full rotation backside air reverse, you could.
I don't know. Doctors, I ask every time, is my bone density Is there something I should be checking out? And they're like, no, it looks fine. It's just the injuries that you have are the equivalent to riding a motorbike into a tree, you know? Shit's going to break and force on force. So I guess the question is, it slowed me down heaps because I haven't got better at surfing for a long time. Like I've been stunted in a way, I feel like. And then
you're being harsh, mate. See, after Pentecostal, I'm looking at you as like pretty much maybe the best surfer in the world, free surfer, like so well rounded, the Aussie Dane Reynolds, man. And I think you're at your peak physically. I mean, the injuries are mind-boggling. But the other thing is, I think what people also might not understand unless they've seen you surfing in the flesh is that you move at a speed and with a level of power and commitment that injuries are gonna come. Like it seems unnatural how fast you go at it and how hard you go at it. So you're a bit of a you'd probably have to say you're kind of a superhuman or a bit of a freak show. Yeah, maybe that's why the injuries are coming.
I don't feel like it. I feel like shit most days. I'm sore all the time, and it doesn't take much to get sore. But the scar tissue, it took every leg break about 2 years to stop hurting constantly every day. And then once that pain goes, it's like through activity, inflammation happens and you can only go on so long and shit. And then now where I'm in like no pain at all, I feel less pop and I feel less, with all the metal in my legs, I feel less spring, like landing and shit. So air-wise, I don't have like the pop that I used to. But with big waves, it's kind of like, it's just reading it. Injuries aside, it's like committing, reading the wave properly, and if no matter prior injuries, doesn't matter about your prior injuries. If you fuck up, you're going to get fucked up. So it doesn't really come to play.
I've got a question for you. Where does the professional free surfing rule book stand on the use of peptides? I mean, if you want to get some more pop in your game, dose yourself a couple of peptides, Wado, or steroids. I'm not even joking. Like,
I don't think there's any qualms with it, is there?
And why haven't we seen it yet? Why haven't we seen it yet, Fawn?
Load up!
Could you?
Get on the juice!
Imagine, we talk about the power and aggression of Dane Reynolds in this kind of dad bod state he's in. Imagine if he was carrying an 8-pack and traps the size of the Harbour Bridge. What he'd be throwing down. Oh. And I joke about it, but steroids and stuff like that, one of their best functions, the best use of them is in repairing from injury and coming back from injury. And I think Bigger, Faster, Stronger, the kind of steroid propaganda film, that's still worth a watch. It makes that point. Like for those, unless there's a reason, legally speaking, not to take them, doctors prescribe them all the time for all kinds of ailments.
There's a rumour.
I guess mostly muscular, but I don't know. Maybe
have you ever heard the rumour? I heard a rumour. It's like completely unfounded, but that in the 80s, a lot of the, or some, not a lot, I'll just say some top-line pros were rumoured to be using steroids, and hence the sort of out of proportion thigh muscles.
Bainey's made a couple of potentially libelous claims that will not be aired on this program.
Good. Thank God it wasn't us.
We don't have the legal funds to challenge it. We donated it all to the Black Lives Matter campaign.
Exactly, mate. So I don't know. Maybe there has been a precedent set. I know that Neko Patarats, we spoke about that. He was, just having a shocking time with
back injury, wasn't it?
And so I think seems unfair in surfing. I mean, drugs in sport. No one wants to really see it, but I just don't see how it can help in surfing outside of
injury repair.
Anyway. Think about it, Goodsy.
Do I know a guy? Well, I did, live in the inner city of Sydney for a while. I know a couple of blokes down the gym scene at Darlinghurst. Let me speak to a mate of a mate, and I'll see what we can do for you, Goodsy.
It just never seemed appealing, eh?
You mind if I hand your number out? Or?
Yeah. Hey, Chris Eves as well had one for you too, Surfcore, and he just said if there was a carve show, the opposite, or in the spirit of the air show, but a carve show.
Oh, yeah.
Who'd win? Margot, Taylor, Sani, Oki, Fanning, Parko, Herring.
Fuck.
Did Hog Dog make the list?
Hog Dog's not on there, but he could be.
I saw a fucking pretty skits photo this morning of Todd Prestige. It was like a black and white photo I think Bosco took. And that fucking blew my mind. It was like it looked like the whole carve happened in the lower third of the wave, but it was like a fucking fishhook shape.
Just on Prestige for a second, you know, he comes from a long line of powerful rail surfers, so much so, in fact, for a long time, the family name was Prestige. But he changed it because, he wanted to break free and be his own man. It was Prestige from that moment on. But, Prestige has now become the, synonym for great flowing power surfing.
Yeah, he's the Nicolas Cage to the Francis Ford Coppola family, right?
That's right.
He just separated himself.
Yeah, Todd Prestige. That was a prestigious
Yeah,
car.
but no.
You got a winner?
Yeah, of all the of current guys, I don't know. William Cardoso fucking puts it on rail, but I'd have to probably say
the panda.
Old boy Robbie Rickard puts it on rail.
Yes. Ribby Rockhard.
He's but he reckons he's losing weight at the moment, so I don't know about that. Maybe title in contention, but
I'll pay that.
He puts it on rail.
There's nothing quite like it seeing a big man throw weight, throw chunks and throw weight, is there? Sean Briley, a big pipeline, Pancho Sullivan, just seeing big rigs throw it around. There's just something hypnotic about it.
Yeah.
It's like watching a wrecking ball swinging off a chain doing ballerina. It's quite bizarre.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of just the leftovers of Dane Reynolds surfing in the electric test, the board test that Stab did, and fuck me, man, whoa! When he buries it, I don't think anyone compares.
Was he eating leftovers before you watched those leftovers?
I don't know, mate. He was
fucking
dead
doesn't
set.
mind a feed. He doesn't mind a hack, the big man.
All right, so Jasper Endersby. Sorry, mate, I butchered your name. Jasper, good on you, brother. Swellians. Is Goodall the best surfer to ever surf P-Pass? I think for sure, and it should be renamed. The P should stand for Passion Pop Pass. Here, well played.
Rename it. We're taking it back.
It's going to be the triple P-Pass now.
Are you the Captain Cook of P-Pass? Rediscovering this Micronesian atoll and then renaming it in your honour?
No, I'm not Captain Cook. That's for sure. I know Jasper. He's from Noosa, son of Eggy. He's a good lad. No way am I claiming nothing. No.
We'll say we're going to call it Pass from now on, all right, in honour of the Passion Pop. From now on, every time we talk about P-Pass, we're going to go call Pass.
Yeah, we'll just omit the name
and just say Pass in honour. It's Passion Point. Passion Pop Point.
Agreed. Renamed. Consider yourself Mr. Cook.
Our Passion Pop just won't die. It's fucked
up. It's
going on his gravestone.
Absolutely everything.
I feel
he invented the passion pop. He passion popped.
Peter Casey, who had the most? This is probably a good argument here, but who had the most dominant performance through one event and got the win? That you guys can think of on the CT. There's a bit of a random one, but
Joel Parkinson, J-Bay 2009, I want to say.
John Florence, Margaret River 2014. I think, I don't know, 2015. I don't know. That can be beat. He's got Owen Wright down at Fiji. Cloudbreak to double tens.
Oh, yeah.
That was mental.
That was scary.
That was
double
fucked
doubles.
up.
It was double doubles.
Owen Wright in overhead Pacific cones of Mortal Conequence is one of the great spectacles of man and nature and technique and hardware all fused into one orgasmic, slowly balding tube pig's
probably
brain. It's incredible.
Probably Arc at the Skins, right?
Oh, jeez. That's the winner.
Skins. Yeah.
That's the winner.
That's the biggest difference in because all those other ones, there is other competitors that you're they could have kind of got freefile. But then that, you watch the other competitors, you're like, oh, he was rinsing the cunts. It's so embarrassing, watching how feeble everyone else looked out there.
Mate, yeah, that's the one. I think unanimous is the board voted.
That's why they call him Surfcore.
And to Canberra Man, cones of Mortal Conequence. I've got it. I've got it, mate. Don't worry, Smithy's not off me back about that one. Let's have a look here. Ed Rumbo. Fuck yeah. Question. If a mate loses his board at Sharps on an 8 to 10 foot day and a young man paddles in to share his board with him as they get swept around the cliffs to boulders while sets rain down on their heads, how many cases of beer does said mate owe this young legend?
Yes, well, you'd start by a kind of a head-high level of cases, I feel like, and brick it out from there, wouldn't you, Vaughn?
I reckon that's, it sounds like...
Do you build a house?
It sounds like if they've been washed around into boulders from shafts, that's a decent wash in.
I saw a photo the other day of someone who made like a Roman like doorway. You know how like if you stack bricks, then angle the bricks like that out of like beer cartons. Like they made a full archway out of it. I reckon that's what you owe them.
Good one.
A Roman archway of eating bitter. You heard the man.
Good on you, Ed. And it looks like he's a good fella too. A couple of good posts there. He loves his dog.
Loves his dog. Loves stink beetles. Loves Black Lives Matter. He's my kind of man. On your rumbo.
All right, let's have a look here. Darcy Crump from down at Av. How are you, mate? Recommendations on the best style gaff helmet to fit your dome. Well, we've got a few different styles here. We've got the visor. Is there different types?
Oh, exactly. Vaughan, glad you brought it up. There is, in fact, one other known prototype made by some kind of cave-dwelling wizard living in the hinterland of Margaret River, and it's less of a gaff helmet and resembles more of a kind of Korean War era army helmet.
Oh, cool!
But it's made from a specific fiberglass mold of the head. You can go out there, get them done one at a time, sit in the man's lair.
Oh wow!
And have a perfectly molded.
What is your favourite performance in a gaff?
Gaff.
Have you got one off the top of your head?
Right, 2019 at Chopes. There'll never be a better one.
I think it's Tom Carroll 91 pipe for me.
Under the lips now. Yeah. But there's a guy that's been surfing D-bar lately in just like footy headgear. And I reckon that's the way, because you're not going to get like the rattling from that. It's just like literally the foamy sort of...
That's right. Mate, tell me about it.
Have you done this? Speak to me. Done this yet?
I've been thinking about it. I really thought the Steve Menzies, 1930s era Albion headgear would be a great fit. It's just full of holes. All the water drains out easily.
I'd love to see you out there.
I mean, why wouldn't it work? A rugby league headgear, Vaughan.
I can't see why it wouldn't work. I reckon it's a great idea. I'm backing it. I reckon next time you surf, and look, we've got a swell coming this weekend. I reckon get the Albion out.
You're in. You're on. I mean, those are. It's just those wowsers in the fashion backwards.
And if you do that,
surf community that are holding me back.
I'll tape up my ears and paddle out with the 1980s rugby league second rower look.
Well, I'm already packing some cones in my footy shorts, my Bondi United footy shorts. Just add the headgear. Actually, funny story. There's a photo. I'll flash it up, right? So I'm getting a tube in my football shorts, right? At Crummus there, and I ran down the beach. I actually had strapping tape, like you, Vaughan, around my head. Literally, I got off the boat from Sumbawa with a terrible ear infection that I'd had for about a week. My ear was full of pus, and I went to a shitty little Lombok clinic there, got it kind of sprayed, surf deserts, got on rode my motorbike, got on the ferry, came back to Crummus, it was cooking. I ran down the beach, and none other than Rizal Tanjung paps me. He paps me, Vaughan.
And it went live, went global,
went live
broke
on
the
Instagram.
internet.
Hashtag kook of the day.
Oh!
But this being the island of the gods, this is a great day of Crummus. It was the biggest I've seen it hold, like in the flesh, 6 to 8 foot. The odd bigger ones. The odd big one. I weirdly managed to kind of get the one on the day.
Is that the one that's on our website?
Yeah, I packed the one. And
that's a good wave, mate.
And I got bathed out of it. And who should be paddling out and who should I kick out in front of than the man himself, Rizal. Quite cosmic, isn't it, Vaughan?
That sums up Bali beautifully, mate.
Ironic the way the island of the gods.
I just like that the tape's working too.
Smoked me.
All right, I've got one here. I don't know what you're going to make of this one, Goodsy, but it looks like Jared Ainsworth says, does Goodall have beef with Kanoa? Does he know something we don't know?
No, I don't think I've ever been in the same town as him before. I have no idea about that guy. He seems kind of different to me in a lot of ways.
You heard it here first.
I don't know.
Different. That's the quote, Wade.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know him. I've never even met him.
What
I
could
you possibly have beef with?
Jared,
I don't know.
Any clues? He's from the Northern Beaches, this guy, so I'm just going to assume,
what set him off on that conspiracy theory?
Maybe he thinks I'm Wade Carmichael or something. I get that a bit.
Maybe. All right, Jared.
Yeah.
You'll have to come back with another question another time, mate.
Yeah, lad.
All right, here we go. We're just whirling our way through here. Matty Weiler. He's got one for you, Wado, as well. And where's he from here? He's got some cool stuff on his gram. Look, little rainbow pit.
Nice.
With the grommies. On you, Matty. UTFS. He said, what band would Goodall want to surf with? So he's listed Metallica, Run Amok, Creative Destruction. You got another band you'd like to have a hang with and get to know and share a bit of brine time with?
Not really. Like not like big anyway. Like you are wearing wash. I would love to I surf with Creed and Bo and Ellis every day pretty much. So I want to keep surfing with those guys. So probably the washies and then Blister, Sean and Noah. So I want to continue.
Goons get a start on there too, mate?
Yeah, but where are you?
Yeah, we're still floating around, mate.
Yeah,
We'll
I love
blow
the Goons.
The cobwebs off the
The only time I
guitar
see Killer is at like school drop off and stuff, and that's where I get my little taste of Goons, and it's nice. But I don't see you as much.
Nah. We had our first jam the other night.
He's aren't hanging at the daycare though.
We played one song and then packed up all our shit and just drank beer for 2 hours. It was awesome.
Sounds perfect. But,
Surfcore2001 from Finchop. He says, Surfcore2001 would love to get your opinion on how many channels my 6.6 by 17.5 by 1 and 17/18 should get. How many is too many?
How many channels?
Yeah.
Oh, 4's too few. I reckon 8's too many. So go with a 6 channel, just A-B style. Real deep, but not like the mellow ones, like real deep A-B channels that come out the tail. A little swallow.
Talk us through.
Not like those channels that Snake made for Jimmy.
Oh, those ones, yeah. No Snaketails channels, proper AB channels.
If this is that's Finchop, so his name's Finn, and it looks like he's got a bit of game. All right, well, a couple more. Let's see what we got here. Goodall, how comfortable are you with staying in backpackers with unisex showers, and at what age did you stomp your first air reverse at Parrell Park? Do you know this guy?
Yeah, that's my best friend, Kalen.
Kalen Schloss. On you, mate.
He's also got a Caroline Marks-ish severe backhand on him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Zaps
He's like
it Mark style?
Calandra Zocchi, really. He's mental.
What's the go, mate? You're not fans of backpackers? You stayed at?
Oh, yeah.
Unisex showers seem to be the problem.
Yeah, I don't really like staying at them very much. I think they're real dirty and shit, so he always...
You don't like getting bed bugs at a backpackers? Look at these bourgeois elites sitting there. Too good for backpackers, eh? Too good to pack in the bunk beds.
Well,
with
if I want to save money, I'm in my swag, and if I want to stay in a place, I'll get a hotel that I don't have to share a toilet with a bunch of cunts.
It's savvy. That's what you do. When you go to the backpackers, you bring your swag and you camp out on the floor. Much cleaner, Vaughn.
Guys, I think we'll use this question to wrap it, eh? And I think it's a fitting one to, seal off what has been an awesome afternoon hanging with Wade and Surfcore, and always love hanging with you too, Smith. But this guy is Jacob Fryer. I'll just make sure he's not frying up anything too full on here in his gram. Can't get into it. Followed by Surfcore. You know this guy?
No.
Well, you follow him.
And the sea mullet.
And the sea mullet follows him as well. His question is, where was the passion pop in Pentecostal? And can you still pull one without the over-the-knee boardies? Where was it? Why didn't we see one in Pentecostal? Just even in the credits, man.
I saw
Credits
you go
is where
for
you
one
drop
the other
that
day
shit.
in Ballina, actually.
Yeah. I've been doing them a bit again lately because of Vinny got me all... Jake Vinny got me all psyched on him again. But I just haven't really felt the urge to go there But lately I've been trying a couple. But I just don't think it's that good. So I don't try them very much anymore. But I do have this like passion pop power where when I look at people, they do them. So like it's happened on 3 different occasions. So I even got Gabriel Medina with one. I swear he did. I looked at him when he was going across and he did a passion pop and I was tripping on it.
Whoa!
And, I haven't really even
That's
met...
the Pentecostal powers, man.
Yeah.
You've made a deal with the Dark Lord. I can feel it.
Tanagadascus, I can make Tanagadascus do them because he knows I like it. And then Jake Vinny, I saw it. Yeah.
Well,
so,
wow, is this the kind of the underground network that really runs surfing, Vaughan? And they're all just secretly, I know that the white supremacists have their kind of OK symbol, but their symbol's a discreet passion pop in the shore break.
That's what it is. This is like the fungi. It's, how like if you stand on the ground, it's eating the soles of your shoes and all that sort of stuff. This is the unspoken language of passion poppers.
Yeah. I think it should stem to every single move. Like if someone is somehow related to a move, you should, if you make eye contact with them on that wave, you should attempt that said move.
I like this. It's kind of like a very martial arts, nod of the cap to the originator. Yeah, I like it. I could see it, in the martial arts sphere.
I actually just love the corrupt. When
fuck that. I was gonna say next time I see Kersey in the car park at Devo, I'm paddling.
He has been ripping though. God, he's been surfing well in the 20s. Hey, before we go, what was I going to say then about the one last thing about the passion pop? Oh, just seeing a turn take on a new life, because Vinny has actually made it look like a really. It looks as fun and fresh again as it was when you first did him.
Yeah, it is.
He's really good at it.
It is fucking fun to do. That move came from a 1 foot wave in Caloundra that has a tiny bowl after the takeoff. There's literally nothing else you can do on that wave. So that's where I started doing them. And that's people go, oh, it's just whatever. It's just nonsense or whatever. But it's also just fuck, what else am I going to do on that piece of shit wave?
That's where the genius is always created. Always.
And it's meant to be fun. And Jake Vinny surfs so fun. I love watching him surf.
Yeah, he's such
bullshit.
Same.
He's so good.
All right, boys. We'll check his next time. And ain't that swell? Up the fucking Swellians.
Yeah.
Up the Swellians.
Cheers, boys.
Mad. High fives.